Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to a very special episode of the world of gaming. You guys know, when was the last time we had this? I think it was July this year, right? Yeah, we had the first community special here on the world of gaming, where we had a bunch of people from the community here as a guest. We had Dave, we had Peter, we had Astreis, and yeah, we had such a blast. That we had to do it again. And that's what we are doing here today. We have the community special, and so yeah, it's a very different episode because we usually don't have 5 guests or 5 people on the podcast at least. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome, guys. And besides that, we have not just some fantastic topics to talk about. We will talk about Starfield and Indiana Jones, The Witcher, the Mario movie. We will talk about the Activision Blizzard deal like every week. Dutch, you have to go through that. I'm sorry. And the Game Awards and a lot more. And later we will have a giveaway today. We will give away an Xbox or PlayStation gift card for $25 or euros, depending where you live, of course. We'll get to that a little bit later. But first, I want to welcome properly everyone that is taking the time out of their busy schedules to join us here today as a guest. Let me first welcome Dave. How are you doing, man?
I'm excited to be on here. These shows are an interesting mix of excited and nervous, and it's how I felt the first time, and it's how I'm ready to go the second time. So, very excited.
I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. I know you're always in the chat. You are always super active with the community, so I'm glad we have you on here. And no reason to be nervous. It's just a bunch of guys here hanging out, talking about video games. And usually we have a list of topics we want to talk about, and then we end up talking about something else the entire show. But that's how it goes. And so we will have a lot of fun here. Peter, how are you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, really good. As well, looking forward to having a chat with you guys. Last time we did this, Dutch wasn't here, so it'll be really cool to chat with you, Dutch. And yeah, just looking forward to some good discussions and having a chat with all you guys.
Yeah, nice, man. It's like I said, it's gonna be fun. I know we won't have the usual proper German people watching us here today because right now Germany is playing during the Soccer World Championship. So if I seem a little distracted, it's because, well, I have the game here on a second screen, a little screen running in parallel. But at least I can talk with my colleagues tomorrow about it. So, but yeah, Astreis, how are you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm so good. Thanks for having me back. It really means a lot to me. Dutch, I'm super excited to pod with you today for the first time. So let's get to it.
Oh, yeah, we will have a lot of fun. And, of course, Dutch, my wonderful co-host, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm just ready for a nice break over Christmas, but we'll see. We'll see what the rest of the month brings, but yes, lots of gaming topics. I like to see a little bit of Nintendo topics today. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Can't wait to discuss everything with these chaps.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear their takes on some of these things because, especially, of course, the Activision Blizzard thing has kept us busy the entire year. So it's going to be interesting to hear some of your thoughts, gentlemen. But we will get to that. I first need to do a little housekeeping because, in case you have missed it on Twitter, on YouTube, or on Hive, yes, we are all on the Hive now as well. On this Saturday, we have our yearly end of the year show, the 2020 in review show. We will talk with Lord Cognito, AZG, and Ainsley Bowden from Season Gaming about the entire year. We will talk about the biggest games, the biggest news, and all the other hot topics of the year that made the year 2020 a very special year in gaming. So if you don't want to miss that, tune in on Saturday same time as right now, so 8 p.m. Central Europe, 7 p.m. UK, or 2 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but what is even more fun is today's show, and we always start our show with the chat about the games of the week. All right, there. Yeah, gentlemen, we have new jingles since the last time you've been on this show.
I love it.
That's awesome. And I actually bought like a Steam Deck for during Black Friday, yeah, so that I only have to push buttons here. And the software that I'm using promised me it will work with a Stream Deck, and it does. But the only thing you can do is start and end the stream. You cannot change overlays, you cannot play jingles, so it's pretty much useless.
Oh, no.
Doesn't matter because I'm planning to switch software anyway. So, but I will do that over the Christmas break because I need a lot of time for that to redo all the overlays and everything. So, yeah, the Stream Deck has to wait, but that's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the games of the week, and I want to know from everyone in the community as well, what have you guys been playing? Astreis, what kept you busy?
Ragnarok for sure. When I haven't been playing that, I started Gotham Knights.
How you like it?
It's pretty fun. I wish the controls were a little tighter, especially when you're trying to traverse with the parkour stuff. It'll be like hold A to parkour and you'll just be running into the wall. But that grapple is amazing. Like that game doesn't care. You want to grapple to the building next door or 2 blocks over or straight up a bridge, like whatever, bet like you do it.
Just wait until you unlock the glide function. You will unlock that a little later in the game. It makes traversal so much more fun through the city.
Yeah, I just scanned my first drone, so
okay.
So I've started that process, but I haven't gotten to use it yet.
Sweet.
And then Marvel Snap is my only other game. That game has invaded my life in ways I didn't know possible. I'm like collection level 550 or something now. I can't stop.
That's cool. No, the game is super fun. I had to stop it because God of War Ragnarok came out, and I wasn't finished. And I want to give the game a proper playthrough because I really enjoyed it. I also want to mop up all the side quests and everything. So as soon as I finish Gotham Knights, I'm going to return to Gotham Knights. As soon as I finish God of War, I'm going to go back to Gotham Knights. But yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Peter, what has kept you busy?
So God of War Ragnarok, I've been that's kind of my primary game at the moment. Bit of Vampire Survivors in there as well, which that bug got me. And it's one of those things that, if I'm busy and I haven't got the time to sit down and really get into God of War, I'll do a 30 minutes on Vampire Survivors. It's not 30 minutes because you die and you think, I could have evolved a different weapon. I'll do that again. So that's a lot of my time, and then a bit of It Takes Two. Actually, so I've been getting some gaming time in with my daughter, and we're playing through It Takes Two again on co-op. Obviously on co-op.
You can never go wrong with that. That's such a great game.
I'm reminded how fantastic that game is. It's absolutely wonderful. But yeah, it's just those three. But I say the main thing is God of War, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's much longer. I was saying to you guys before we started, it's much longer than I thought it was going to be. So I'm easily 35 hours into it. And upon speaking to you chaps when I joined, I realised I'm not really as close to the end as I thought I was. So there's quite a bit to go still. But I kind of about 3 or 4 hours ago, it really picked up like hugely for me. And it hasn't really gone down since then. It's been on this high now for about 3 or 4 hours. It's just really, really sort of thrilling and exciting as the story is going on now. So yeah, that's it from me. And then
sweet.
It'll be Witcher 3, and that's it.
Oh, we'll get to The Witcher later, dude. I'm so glad you are on the show because I know how much you love The Witcher, and we have some fantastic Witcher news. So, but first, Dave, what kept you busy?
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Plague's Tale. I am so close to being done with that. At least it feels like that. That one has such a fantastic story. Really loving the puzzles with that game, and by puzzles, just trying to evade the guard. I started the game being a little bit aggressive, and then I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can switch gears, and I've been loving it. Each chapter, the challenges, they're rewarding, and you get that reprieve, and then you go back in, and the story doesn't get stale. It just stays good throughout.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm so close to the end. So Plague's Tale has been taking up a lot of my time.
Once you have finished it, hit me up in the DMs and let me know what you thought about the ending, because it really hit hard. It hit hard.
It makes me feel like maybe I'm not close to it, because it's so good right now. And I was like, I must be so close to the end. Maybe I'm not, but I feel like I am so close.
I don't know.
Yeah, we will find
Hit me up once you know what I'm talking about.
So this one, I'll give a plug to. The second one is The Quarry, or The Quarry. I think it was on sale. I don't know if it's still on sale, but I picked it up on sale a couple days ago. And the wife was like, yeah, why don't you buy it? And, games that the wife is willing to like watch me play are always, bump in my appreciation list. The production value of that is very surprisingly high. I wasn't really expecting much. I was thinking like better than Telltale, but not much better. It's like, no, the production value is way higher. Really super clean presentation, and the graphics are really good. And it's like even small things like the pause screen mechanics help keep me immersed after I take my dog for a walk. And like, I want to go back in. And yeah, you're doing a lot of walking and conversation, but it's really enjoyable. The wife loves it, and that's a bonus. So those are the two games I've been playing. I'm a fan of both, and honestly, the graphics of both of them are competing for like some really nice eye candy.
Sweet. Good stuff. Yeah, the Quarry. I bought it as well on the Black Friday sale, and yeah. I haven't started it yet. I think I will be playing that over the Christmas break or something. Yeah. Once I finish The Witcher 3 again. So good stuff, man. Dutch, let us know. What have you been playing, man?
Yes. So like a lot of people, like most people, Vampire Survivor has always rears its ugly head in between things. But I've also been playing God of War. Unfortunately, restricted myself to playing that on stream, so I'm playing that in bite-sized chunks of like 3 hours, 4 hours here and there. So I feel like I'm near the end. I'm not sure though, and judging by what you're saying, I'm probably not. Probably got another several hours to go, maybe 10.
Okay. So have you been to the island?
It depends on which island you're talking about. I've gathered my army.
Gathered your army.
Yeah.
So I would say you're halfway through the game.
Lovely.
Roundabout. Lovely, right? You have stuff to do. But then, let me briefly welcome our fourth and final guest for today, Rhetri.
Hey, guys. I somehow missed the invite. I don't know what happened, but it was nowhere. I'm like, what's going on, guys?
Yeah. I was wondering where you are, but hey, dude, no worries. We're still very early in the show. We're just talking about what we are playing currently, and we get to you in a sec. I need to briefly shout out our generous friend, Master Clown X3, because he sends in actually 2 super chats of each $20 without any comments. Man, thank you so much for the support. Wow, big shout out to you. It's because of the generosity like yours that we were able to finally move to a little higher quality software over the Christmas break. And even more important, we will be able to give a little back. We will do a giveaway later in the show for the community. And we will do one, of course, on the... we actually do 2 on Saturday during the big highlight show of the year. So thank you so much for the generosity, man. Super appreciated. All right, Dutch, but I was interrupting you.
That's all right.
Very impolite. You're used to it, right? You're used to it.
So good. But other than wondering how far along in God of War I am for days on end, I've been playing a little bit more Call of Duty Warzone. And I think that's, to be honest, about it. In between things, I do need to do a lot of catching up with games over the Christmas break. So I need to, like I say, I need to finish off Plague Tale Requiem, which was put on hold a while back. I can't even remember what for now. Plague Tale was put on hold. Oh, it was God of War, naturally. So then, of course, Evil.
Oh,
West
so you're talking about gathering your army in God of War?
Yes.
Sorry, I was like gathering the army because there is a sequence in Plague Tale. So I was a little confused. No. Okay. Yeah. So I gathered my army too in God of War. So, but I haven't finished. Yeah. So I don't know how far you are.
When you
Possibly
get
the
to,
same area then, because I've paused it, gathered army, went to sleep, woke up, and then save.
I continued a little bit and fought a few bosses here and there after gathering the army, but it just doesn't end, dude. It just doesn't end.
when you go to sleep in a tent,
really exciting.
you'll know you're really getting there.
Yeah. One of the boss fights that I've just done before gathering the army was absolutely phenomenal. It was really good to watch it kind of come together. It was a nice kind of the nice atmosphere and the kind of world that they created in that section was really good to see. Really beautiful, to be honest. But yeah, really enjoying that. But I've got a lot of things to catch up on over the winter break. So that's when my gaming's going to pick back up properly again.
Hopefully, don't get burned out, Dutch. You got a lot of like the same kind of game you're catching up on too.
Different story. The good thing about them, though, to me, is even though it's the same kind of game, it's different types of stories. Different
There
stories.
you go. That's good.
So thankfully, it's like a little bit different because, especially with God of War, like I like the Norse mythology, and I know that is entirely different to Plague Tale, which is like, like completely historic and based on like again something entirely different, a whole new story. And Evil West is just silly. It's just silly fun. There's no real story to it. It's just daft murder, kill vampires and werewolves. So,
Indeed.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
Me.
It is. Sweet. Rhetri, what has kept you busy?
Let's see. I just started playing Somerville, actually. Well, I've been playing Vampire Survivors nonstop, to be honest with you. I can't stop playing that game. It's so good. I'm trying to, you get all those like 5-point achievements, and they're kind of driving me crazy. So I'm going through that, trying to get them all. But I just started Somerville last night, so it's all right. It's a little actually disappointing. I thought it was going to be more like inside, and it kind of has an issue where the camera is really far away, or like really far away, and your character is like this big, and you're trying to figure out kind of where to maneuver and stuff. But yeah, so Vampire Survivors, and I always do Overwatch too. Yeah, I'm kind of like you with Overwatch, with you in Age of Empire. Yep,
Empires, 100%. Yeah.
So I try not to talk about Overwatch a lot because people are like, "Oh, you're playing that again for last 4 years or whatever."
Hey, we all have our guilty pleasures, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? So
that's
cool.
about
That's
it
cool.
me.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid Vampires Survivors, honestly, because I don't need another addiction in my life.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't started.
So good though.
I hear that. Let me shout out once again, Master Clown. Dude, I see you found the super chat button again. That's so awesome. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Shout out to you, and shout out to everyone else who is joining us here today live. The chat is really filling up with a lot of familiar names here. I also see Germany already is leading 1-0 in the soccer match that is running in parallel here. So good stuff there. And that is the perfect time to move over to the exciting news of the week. So, guys. Hey, you want to hear it again?
No.
No. We can have it once.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So, this week a lot happened. A lot of news that a lot of people didn't talk about. So I thought there was some awesome Witcher news, and it's always worth talking about that. We had a couple of infos on the Indiana Jones game. We had the Mario movie, a new trailer, which looks really awesome. The Game Awards are coming up, and a couple of alleged leaks happened. So we have a lot to talk about. But first, we need to talk about Starfield, guys. Starfield, one of, if not my most anticipated game for the next year. And God Howard, how Pong Soul likes to call him, God Howard, had a 40-minute interview, and he talked about a lot of stuff in that interview about Starfield, about the graphics in Starfield, about the romance and relationship system in the game, about what it's like to be exclusive on the Xbox ecosystem. And he also talked a little bit about Indiana Jones. We will get to that in a second. First, we need to cover Starfield. So, yeah, I'm just throwing a couple of things out to discuss here, because he talked, of course, about them being now exclusive on the ecosystem, and he said that it's awesome, but he also feels pressure to sell consoles. I want to quote him. He said, "We've had a lot of success with the games that you talked about, but we've never been kind of the platform seller, the game for a platform for a period of time. And so there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of responsibility there to make sure we deliver for everybody." So, Dave, what do you think? Is Starfield going to be a system seller?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation that would have been had at some point in the past. Probably at or near the acquisition, and now it's just coming to us, the gamers. If you're paying that much, and Starfield is something that sells well on all consoles prior to becoming exclusive, Bethesda's titles are, and I would think that if I'm Microsoft, one of the things that I would ask for in that acquisition talk would be a game that is developed at the level to be considered a system seller. It's going to be tough. 2023 is not the same as 2022. What is a system seller? It's a game that moves consoles, that moves plastic. And I think it has the possibility. And I think it's like, why not ask for that, have that conversation? I love it. That's what I would ask for. And I'm glad Todd Howard addressed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I also think, like, you see the impact and importance of some of the previous Bethesda games, like Skyrim, like if you go back to Oblivion, which had a similar effect, then hopefully Starfield will have it early in the generation. And even Fallout 3, if you remember that, that was also for at least for I think a year or so console exclusive to the Xbox, and they all were system sellers. So I have no doubt. God Howard also talked a little bit about graphics and how it is to develop now exclusive for the platform. So he talked about that it's now, of course, easier because they have to optimize the game a little for less platforms, that they can really focus on one dedicated hardware system. And he specifically mentioned the Xbox Series X being a really, really awesome machine to work for, and that they get a lot of support from the Xbox engineers from the headquarters. So, Rhetri, what do you think? Is Starfield gonna be extra special because it is exclusive now, or what do you think? Does it really matter that they? Because the game comes on PC,
This might be controversial, but no, I don't think it will be special because it's exclusive. Only because normally I would say yes, but it's just too big of a game. It's just too big. So I think I'm a little worried it's going to be 30 frames per second. They haven't addressed it really, and which makes me think that's going to happen. But I guess it doesn't matter. It's not a fighter. It's not like a fast moving game per se. So I guess it's okay in that regard. But I don't know. I'm hoping, I love those guys. I love Fallout. Skyrim is in my top 5 of all time. So I am hoping that this is going to be a huge time suck. Obviously, it will be with all the planets. And I was just happy to hear about the fuel. That sounds ridiculous. Oh, okay. We're not going to run out of fuel in space and just float and like die. So awesome on that. But I think they'll push it as far as they possibly can in regards to the size of it. It's just so massive. So I'm not expecting to be blown away with graphics. I'm expecting gameplay to be better, game mechanics to be better, lighting to be better. And that's what I'm hoping we'll get out of it. And I'll be perfectly satisfied if we come away with Starfield, checking all those boxes off, for me at least.
Yeah. You make a lot of sense, and we talk about the graphics in a second. I want to mention something that Kirby Louise has put in the chat, and I actually have something similar here in my notes that I want to say about this, because dropping the PlayStation as a target platform, it might not sound like, if you still bring out the game on PC, that it really does much, because then the lowest common denominator is still the minimum specs on PC. It's not PlayStation or anything else. The difference is, though, that all these systems, all the Xbox ecosystem works with DirectX, and they can totally focus now on developing and optimizing for that, and making use of the tools that are available in the DirectX suite. And they don't have to work around DirectX not being available in the engine. So I wonder if we will see that, because graphics is always a great discussion point. Yeah, and Todd Howard also addressed those. He said, that he knows that they won't probably have the same effect like a linear single-player game that is in a very condensed area. And he talked about that they focus, of course, not just on fidelity, but also in being able to stream all the assets in from the entire world and things like that. And that's their main focus. And if we look back at games like Skyrim, visually at the time, Skyrim looked amazing, especially if you think about the landscapes. And from the trailer, you can tell that Starfield tries to achieve the same, because if you look at the landscapes and the vast vistas and everything on the planets, it looks incredible. But then the characters come in, and Bethesda's never had their strong suit.
People really dogged on that hologram.
Exactly.
But the world looks amazing.
Yeah,
it does exactly. And from the trailer, if you in the gameplay we've seen, it's exactly the same again. Yeah, it looks gorgeous, and then a character comes in. The facial animations, they look like video game characters. Astreis, let's hear your thoughts, because Todd Howard also brought up the 30 FPS again, that they traditionally focused, and he said traditionally we focus on 30 FPS and the great visual fidelity that we can achieve. He left it open whether there will be 60 FPS. He was navigating around that topic a little bit. So what do you think? Will they have a 60 FPS mode on consoles?
I sure really want them to. I mean, it's just personal preference, but I'd rather have it look like a Xbox One game and play it 60 FPS versus be like, real life and run it, and might as well, like, why not let's run it like a movie. Let's just have 24 FPS and it'll crash every time we walk through a doorway and whatever. But, I think we all talked about God of War. I know it's not something that everybody has access to, but I was able to play God of War at basically a locked 80 frames in performance mode with the high frame rate toggled on on my C1, and I tried to play on the quality mode unlocked at the 40 frames with VRR, and I thought the upgrade from 40 to 80 was just bananas at almost no visual degrade on the graphics. But I think, like we talked about before, that's something else that you can get to when you don't have to focus on all the different platforms.
Yeah.
You get your DX12 and just build for Xbox and PC. I don't know. I think with FSR2 being built into the systems, with things like velocity architecture, if we're using SFS and mesh shaders, if we can get all those things that they've built into the box to have all those efficiency multipliers.
It's an interesting thing. Do you guys think Starfield will be the first game that truly makes use of all the tools that they have available? You sure hope so. Yeah.
I don't think so. Forza.
Forza for sure.
Yep.
I think it depends on what you're talking about. Visuals are one thing. So like your standard, your textures, your shadows. Sure, there's that, but
Kirby said no. No ifs, no buts, nothing.
So there we go. Who am I to argue with Kirby, who's actually
Kirby
a developer?
knows.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I guess I've just seen the comment there, and not Forza either. What does that mean to use all features? I don't think it's just what you see on the screen visually necessarily. There's more under the hood that can be done with these sort of games. That's not just visual. So for example, in games like Skyrim and stuff, the whole point of it, and I did catch a bit of the interview, was that in linear games, you've got what's going on in your small little circle around the character, and everything else in the game has stopped. Nothing's happening. Whereas in games like Skyrim, you've got it might be happening at a lower rate, but everything else is happening in the world at the same time as what you're doing. Then there's persistence across the world. You know, you drop a melon on top of a roof over in Whiterun, you go to Winterhold, you go back to Whiterun, it's there. You know, so I think it's a bit more nuanced than just, there's a really pretty textures and really nice sharp shadows. There's more to be offered by the hardware. And for me, at least, when I start a game, any game really, initially the visuals hit you in the face. Now, you're on God of War Ragnarok, the visuals are stunning right from the beginning. But it's not long after you start playing, other things, the audio, the combat loop, and what else is going on in the world kind of overtakes the visuals. And every now and then something will happen that's awe-inspiring, and you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And then you kind of go back to the other sort of, what I would argue are more important parts of the game instead. So I went back on Skyrim recently, and the graphics aren't great.
Yeah,
I didn't think about them. I fancied starting a new game. I left the opening area into the forest, looked out, and I saw the standing stone, and I thought, wow. And even now, all these years later, I sort of was in awe at the world, and I just thought, I can go anywhere I want now. And so I think on a technical level, they don't. I think those sorts of games offer something beyond just your standard eye candy, and that's not me sort of trying to damage control or anything like that. Saying, I don't think visually it's going to look as good as some of your. Look at a single image on a screen. It's not going to stand out in the way like a Ratchet and Clank does or a linear sort of. Right. It's not. But when you play it, and you've got that level of persistence across these different planets, and you've got the huge interaction. You've got characters carrying on doing what they're doing when you're not there. I think that immersion is what separates Todd Howard's games from most other games that are out, and I'm going to just say it's easily my most anticipated game for 2020. Like nothing comes close to it, because I know how much hours I lost into Skyrim, into Oblivion.
We all did.
Yeah,
we all did.
It's all consuming, and it's just it's such. And he's that whole team are such a master at creating these immersive worlds. Or in this case, a universe, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Get lost in. So, I think there's a lot more to what the consoles can deliver beyond just pretty visuals on the screen. Is what I'm kind of getting at. There are other things with the CPU and with the SSD and be able to pull stuff in quickly. I expect to see an even greater level of persistence across everything you're interacting with.
That's a great. That's a great point. Interacting with. I want to pick that up because that's what Bethesda games have always been known for. If what you see in the game, you can touch and interact with. Like every apple, every I don't know cup in a house you see, you will be able to interact with those objects in a certain way, and obviously that is one part that takes away. Of course, computational resources. That's the difference between such a vast open world game and a super linear game like even God of War is. If you think about this,
it's like decorating your house in Skyrim. I spent a lot of time doing that.
Exactly. So yeah, that's just a difference. And the other part of it is of course the interactions with the NPCs. And God Howard also talked about that a little bit, and especially on the romantic and relationships that you have with other NPCs that also impact then not just your story but also the behavior of certain people. Like they had that in Skyrim as well, if you remember. Yeah, you can sign up with different factions, and then people will react differently to you and your character, and they will go a lot deeper into that. Let me read a quote here, Dutch, and I want to hear your thoughts on this and how this will impact the gameplay. He was talking about relationships with characters, and he says one of the things that we actually have pushed in Starfield. So we have a number of companions, but for them we go, I won't say super complex romantic, but more complex relationships than we've had in terms of not just whether they like you or they don't like you. They can be in love with you and dislike something you did and be pissed as you temporarily and then come back to loving you. In a lot of sounds just like my wife.
Yikes.
In a lot of games, you just work. I hope she doesn't hear that. In a lot of games, you just work your way up. They like you more and more and more and more, and you're in a relationship. And when you make him upset, you drift out of it like it never happened. Whereas we wanted one where, okay, we can be in a relationship and we've committed to each other in some way, but I just did something that really made you angry, as opposed to just drifting out of the status. You're in a temporary romantic relationship. I don't like what you did state. So yeah, Dutch, it sounds like they really took the idea of having more realistic interactions, more realistic relationships on more levels than just, okay, if you do this for that character, she will get like a +1 in the heart, and then he or she falls in love with you. So what do you think? How will that more complex system impact the world, the story, and everything we experience in the game?
It's hard to tell, really. We've seen a lot of different games, primarily Obsidian or even Cyberpunk, try that. Not Cyberpunk, not even just Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red, try the relationship thing. Of course, with Witcher, you had essentially two main ones you could kind of choose between, and they'd always fight with you and get angry with you and teleport you to different parts of the map when they're really pissed off with you. And then in Obsidian's Outer Worlds, of course, we know that they kind of affected the end game, and you don't really figure out what it is that your choices affected until the end of the game. And I think that is probably the better way to go about it, because truly no one knows what is the good or bad choice in anything. You make your choices, and then at the end you find out how those particular choices has affected the game at the end of things, as opposed to, oh, well, you've made a bad choice, so this is going to happen now. So it's not really realistic in those senses to know that. Obviously, oh yeah, she's angry, so now she's going to ignore us for a while, and then now I've got 2 hours worth of this to deal with, and like you kind of sometimes it's just a case of you maybe upset someone and then they just carry on, and then kind of it depends on how they implement the character arc, or the way each individual is each individual person that you can have a relationship with going to be different, or they all kind of set to the same responses. it's hard to tell how this is going to go, because if I do an entire playthrough, but I have a relationship with one character, and you do a playthrough and the relationship is with an entirely different character, but we both come back to each other and we speak about kind of how it's been happening in our games, and it turns out the responses that we've given, although the same, have wielded the same responses from the characters on the opposite side, despite being different characters, then it's not as fluid as they make believe. So it really depends on how many lines they've actually went through for each of the different characters you can have relationships with, and if each of those characters have different behavioral arcs. Because if they've all got different behavioral traits, that's a different story altogether. If all of the characters you can have relationships with have the same behavioral trait, and they all go in the mood for the same thing, and they all get angry for the same things, and they all respond in the same way, then that's not really fluid. It's just make-believe fluid. So it depends on how in-depth they've went for each individual character's traits. If every character has different traits, different behaviors, then it can obviously have greater effect. Yeah. I suppose time will tell whether or not they've went that in-depth with characters.
According to Tom, he says if there's sexy robots, then 30 frames per second is just fine. So it's a great comment.
Yeah, man.
I never thought about it.
You should play Cyberpunk, dude, if you want to have sexy robots.
You know what you like, Tom. You're good.
Shout out to Tom, man. He's great. Yeah, now, Dave, we have one important question left on Starfield. Is Xbox going to be able to keep their promise and bring it out in the first half of 23?
Ooh, I mean, I hate to be I shouldn't say I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I just don't see it. There's so much going on in 2023. Starfield is a holiday game. Place it where it belongs. Tell everyone at the Game Awards show that it's coming out in fall 2023 and allow it to take the center stage it deserves. That's what I want, and my bias is clouding my judgment. Thank you.
Gotta hope you're wrong. Sorry, but I sure hope, because I want to play it. I want to play it so bad. What do you guys think, Peter, Astreis, Rhetri, Dutch?
Man, I think that makes first half of the year crowded.
Do you say do you think they'll make it?
Yeah,
I think it'll be crowded. I'm sorry, Peter. I walked over you, man.
No. You're right. I was just checking that it was just the release date we're checking on, and I think it's going to be towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
I also agree. I think it's going to be certainly think it's going to be the tail end of the year. Mainly because I don't think they want it in a crowded section, and as we've seen from the beginning of next year, it is just so packed, and they don't want that. Like, if they released Starfield in the same period that they would have this year, their main competitor was God of War Ragnarok, and that's it. Yeah. Like, they don't have any other competitors at this point of the year.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense to do exactly the same and potentially put it at the tail end of next year again as well, and just move it to the same date.
What I wonder,
I think
though,
the only time you're going to be going up against then is Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's a good point too. What happens to Hellblade, though? Because I assumed Hellblade might come out holiday, and then you got those two juggernauts going like that again.
I think
what do you say about Avowed? Avowed is also a possible candidate for.
I thought Avowed was coming out in November of next year. Now that we're talking this through, now I don't. I think it's beyond that. I would love to see Avowed next year sometime, but I don't know. I think Hellblade's coming before that. So
yeah. That's the thing, though. Xbox has so many games in the pipeline for many, many years. Some of these games have been now 5, 6, 7 years in development, right? So they eventually have to come out at some point. And I don't think that they have like this period where they are not crowded, Dave. I think like that's just what happens now in 23 and 24, and it's not just Xbox, it's all the third-party stuff that has also been pushed back. You have like the big Avatar game coming next year as well, the second half. You have a Star Wars game coming. Jedi Survivor is supposed to come out. We have Suicide Squad from Rocksteady. Big game.
Hogwarts.
They all
and-
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
Yep.
Well, Hogwarts is at least early next year, so
Yeah.
first half next year. But yeah, you
I
get
think that's
my
when we're getting
point.
Redfall though too.
All right.
Redfall,
think we're
exactly,
getting Redfall in
and
February
Forza
or
is supposed to
March.
come out. They will. It will be crowded no matter where you position it. So
Diablo, if
Diablo
ABK
4.
goes through, like, if the
Indeed.
timing's right, I don't have to pay for it.
also supposed to come out first half. Yeah, they said
Yeah.
gonna come out first half. So there's so many games, but it doesn't matter whether you put Starfield in the first or second half of 23. It will always be in a crowded space because 23 is overall totally crowded. So the question just is, I don't think that they think about it this way. The question really is, does the team need a few extra months? Because I don't think they will be able to release Starfield in the state that Bethesda games usually release, Bethesda
I think
games.
that's it. I think that's it. I think that's it, Box. I think they delayed Starfield, which was a huge decision because it was easily their marquee title for this year, and they basically gave the year away when they delayed Starfield. Really, because it has, in terms of first party, the big AAA tentpole stuff, it's been pretty bad from the side.
Absolutely.
There's no other way for it. So I think you're right. It needs to launch. It's a statement of intent.
Exactly.
There's been so much conversation around what does Game Pass do for development of games? What does it do for quality of games? Are we going to get the quality and all the rest of it? Now, anyone, if you're not sort of like a toxic console warrior, I think anyone knows that with games like Skyrim and Starfield, there's going to be some degree of jank. I kind of think it's almost inevitable, but I think they need it to launch in as polished a state as a game of that scope can reasonably launch in. So I think I saw someone in the chat saying that it's finished and they're waiting for a release window. I don't think that. I think it's finished and they're just polishing and they're going through. They're working with the engineers, like they've got Jason Ronald's team and YB working with them to optimize it for the consoles. I think it will be holiday, and they need it to launch as polished as it can. And I think that's a mission statement. It's the first big AAA launch coming out of their studios that they purchased, really, since they made all these big purchases. So it's going to set the landscape, I think. What sort of quality can we expect from this new world where games launch day and date into a subservice as well as on Steam and all the rest of it? And that I don't think if it releases poorly, I think the optics are going to go against them, and they already are a bit, because there's all this talk. Oh, they can't manage studios. They can't do this, can't do that. They need to come out and go, bang, there we go.
Bang. There you go. But that's also a good point. The PR thing, Dutch, what do you think? Can they take another PR hit if they delay it again? Because now everyone we talked about this on your show yesterday, a little disappointed after the E3 show this year, and they didn't have a major game for this year. And all the exciting stuff that they have shown in the Xbox showcase this year was basically the second half of the 12 months window that they have shown. So meaning first half of 23, that's where all the exciting stuff is supposed to come out. And if they now say during the Game Awards, for instance, okay, Starfield, I think Fanto said it, 23/11/23. Can they take that PR hit again? So another story where people will talk about, and we have to wait another 6 months for the game to come out. It's another 6 months that you promised, we're still waiting and waiting and waiting. Do you think that they can take that hit for the game to come out? It's another 6 months that you promised.
It depends. It depends really on what they've actually got lined up for the beginning of the year. But I think ultimately, not giving that initial new release date for it gives them a little bit of flexibility with its launch window. Because I said, we did say within the opening 12 months, but we also stated on that nice little diagram that these are subject to change. So
Yeah, well, but who cares about that little
Small
subject
writing.
change thing?
Well,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I don't think anybody would ultimately begrudge them. For instance, if the year starts with Redfall and then hits Forza and then hits let's say a Hellblade or an Avowed, and then at the tail end you've got Starfield. Then in which case you go, that's fine then. That is understandable if that's the way you're going to do it.
Yeah, completely
However,
agree.
if you've
I did
got
too.
Redfall, Forza, huge gap, then Starfield, then it becomes an issue. I think if you've got something that's at least once a quarter, which was the initial target, at least once a quarter, a big AAA game. If you hit that note next year, and Starfield is at the tail end of that note, I think people will be okay.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah, I
that
agree.
once a quarter thing was said 2 years ago, and we're still waiting. Waiting.
waiting.
But
Exactly.
so they have to have 4 bangers this year, or I'm gonna ride them hard. Like, it's a lot of people think we should get 6. Like, they owe us a couple from this year. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of agree with that.
It's a fair point. Absolutely.
At least get 2 from what should have came out in 2022 and stack them in 2023. But we'll see. I agree with Dutch here saying that as long as the games in the first half of the year not just come out but are good, then I think the internet, not Twitter, the internet might give them a break on releasing holiday. Yeah, Dave's laughing. Twitter will fry them no matter what. But we'll see.
The more reasonable part.
Right.
I got you. I got. It's a fair point. I think, me personally, I think they will almost hit the 12-month window, and it will be like a June or July game at around E3. Like you have the E3 in-person event again for the first time in years now, and the thing is, it's a chance for the press and the general media to get hands on that game, and that's a difference with every other gaming show that we have with E3. E3 is the one time a year where like regular newspapers talk about video games, and if you have a game ready to show that will come out like in 2 weeks after the articles have been written, and the media people and the influencers and everyone had their hands-on event at E3, playing it for the first time, and then like 2 weeks later it comes out in the hands. They will own the news. They will own the news, and not just like the nerd news that we read. Yeah, it's like the casuals will be aware, oh, there is this massive success that everyone has heard. Even the casuals have heard of Skyrim. There's this new game from the makers of Skyrim coming, and everyone's talking about it, and it's apparently awesome. So I think that's where they want to put Starfield in that whole story. So, but it's just me. That's just me, and time will tell. Listen, please. Who wanted to jump in? No, all good.
I don't think it was me, but I will jump in. I wanted to ask about how do you guys feel about a big third-party game in Game Pass in lieu of a release? Because I really thought that might be what we would get this fall, and it looks like we're just not. But like Callisto Day 1 in Game Pass would have been pretty cool, something like that, and not just. I mean, not that I have an issue with what they put into Game Pass. I love the service, and it's a big deal for me. But I have always thought, like, in a game where you're not going to put any AAA first party games out, like go, I don't know, put a blank check on somebody's desk and ask them what it'll cost to get a big AAA third party game.
I think a lot of us thought that was going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Like, we just assumed we were going to get maybe not Elden Ring, but something. Tiny Tina's, like Dying Light, Like
Right.
it just never
Happen by
came.
anything,
I mean, Star Wars is great. That's coming. You know, we got Monster Hunter. That's massive. And that,
for sure.
I know that's a rumor, but the PC Game Pass in
Confirmed
some
now.
other country, I think, confirmed
by,
it.
Xbox Germany.
Okay, thank you. It was Germany. Yeah. So
And next year
That's
already has
January.
some good ones. Like they've got Lies of P coming.
Lies
I
of
think
P.
that'll be
Yeah.
huge.
Yep.
Wolong is coming.
Wolong,
Stalker 2 is coming. Yeah.
So-
yeah. I don't think they need it next year.
Yeah, I mean, for this year, they need to consider what is going to move Game Pass in December. And to be fair, I think I'm not sure that anything that's coming out right now, because I think Callisto's got marketing with Sony anyway, so that's probably could never.
Yeah,
happen.
that's not coming.
True.
Yeah.
Hogwarts was delayed, and that maybe has marketing as well. So
it does.
I don't think there's anything actually coming out of that window that's going to. I think looking at what they're doing, that they seem to be focusing on shifting hardware. So Xbox Series S, for example, is discounted, and it seems to be doing really well for them. So I kind of wonder whether, not that they've written off 2023, but it's kind of in 22. Sorry, but it is kind of. I don't think there's much that can be done from the game front, really.
Yeah.
I think they,
Outside of High on Life, I think they're done.
Yeah, that's it. You've got High on Life. Lego Star Wars is nice for families picking up the new console over Christmas.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good get. They've already got things like if you've got people coming new to the Xbox ecosystem at Christmas, you've got, I know online it's always about the new games that have just released, but actually there's a load of decent games in there that are going to get people to extend beyond the 14-day Game Pass trial that comes with the console, because that's what they're interested in. Get people to resub over Christmas. It Takes Two, Lego Star Wars, all these sort of family games that are in the service. And then you hit next year, you start off, you've got Age of Empires 2 Definitive, you've got Monster Hunter Rise, and really, going back to what someone said before, they need to have a really decent, I know it's become almost a meme now, just wait till next year. I get it, but it really, and every time it's like, it really has to be next year. So I'm going to sound like a broken record from everyone else, but it absolutely, there can't be another 2022 from a third-party perspective. They need to hit a decent release cadence with decent day one games on Game Pass throughout the course of the year. And I'm sure a couple of them will be third-party deals day one as well. But I don't think there's anything coming out in the next 5 to 6 weeks that could.
No, we would have heard of them by now. I think Monster Hunter is a big get. It is really a big game.
That's huge.
That played by millions and
11 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, gentlemen, I want to talk about something else that God Howard talked about, and that is Indiana Jones. So, Dave, here's what he had to say about the game. He was asked whether the game is gonna be an action adventure, and he said that it's gonna be a unique genre mashup. I would just say it's a mashup, he said. It's unique. It isn't one thing intentionally, so it does a lot of different things. But it is definitely a love letter to Indiana Jones. He also said that Machine Games is the perfect fit for this game with storytelling and how they record it, and that the studio is doing an incredible job. So, what do we make of this? Indiana Jones has been teased early last year, January 21. We got the teaser. Now we are 2 years later. Machine Games has worked for 2 years at least now on the game. What do you think this is going to be?
Yeah, so I wish we had a way to cut in Sean Connery. What did he call Indiana Jones? What was his nickname in the car?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And Indiana Jones didn't like it. He's like, don't call me that. That type of affection. Junior. Yeah, okay. Junior. Yeah.
Junior.
It's been a while.
Connery saying Junior. I think it's important to establish the love letter aspect of this. Just given the demographic and age group of us here on the show.
Right here.
I absolutely love Indiana Jones. If they didn't show or display that aspect of passion for it, I just, to me, that's the number one. I love to see it. The action adventure and the mashup, and the experience of Machine Games to me is making something that I'm already looking forward to just that much better. I mean, we've seen what Machine Games has already been able to do. When you say action adventure, I think of multiple games that have had success in recent years. There's Game Mode Play It Now that kind of falls into that category. I love it. I love the picture they're painting, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, I'm excited for Junior.
You're excited for Junior. That's awesome to hear, man. No, I love. You know what I love, Peter? That they said, or this, he made it sound like, okay, it's at least set like in the original trilogy, not the new ones, not a standalone story. If it is a love letter, it has to be related somehow to the movies, the original trilogy. So, what do you think this could be? Like, is it more like an Uncharted, Tomb Raider type of game? Is it? What do you think? Is it a first-person action game like more the Wolfenstein games? So,
I didn't hear that part of the interview, but I listened to Unlocked on the way home, podcast Unlocked. I think they mentioned it in there. They mentioned what he said. So I think I kind of agree with what they were saying there. I don't think it's going to be you're going from like a puzzle level that's like, literally just like Portal or something like that over to a traditional Wolfenstein level over to just a plan. I think it's going to have elements from all of those things. I don't think it's going to come out and be something that we've never seen before. I think the words in the interview made it sound like, oh, this is going to be something that you guys haven't seen, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be third person because I kind of think that
I hope so.
With that sort of character, I even wonder whether Disney might mandate that sort of game has to be third person, maybe, because
we watch Indiana Jones because we want to see the character. I want to see myself on. I want to be
100%.
Indiana Jones.
That's it. Exactly what I was going to say.
I think. I mean, I agree that Machine Games I think Machine Games are fantastic. Wolfenstein 2, particularly, was one of the highlights of the year that I played. I thought it was fantastic, and I know that third person is different for them. I've seen some people sort of say that, but they've not done third person before. Neither had Guerrilla. Guerrilla Games went from doing third person first to third person. Dev teams can pivot. I don't think that's a problem. I think I think if they want to do it, I think you should always lean on it. If you've got a team that are passionate about doing something, then I think that you should lean on them to do it, because they're going to bring that sort of passion to the project. And
absolutely,
Todd Howard apparently has had the pitch for this under his belt for 10 years or 12 years or something like that. So it's obviously something that he's been passionate about for quite some time. So it might be a bit boring, but I kind of think it's going to end up being like maybe Uncharted, Tomb Raider type game, to be honest with you. And that's not necessarily.
I would love that, man.
I'd be okay.
I don't think that's a bad thing. It'll have its quieter moments without combat, with puzzles and stuff. It'll have its action. And for me, I think that's fine. I don't need it to be something that's wildly different and try and do something new. Those games borrowed all of their ideas from Indiana Jones as a concept. So this is like going full circle and coming back to the character, I suppose, and the medium that inspired those sorts of games. And if they do it really well and really polished, then I think it'll be great.
Needs to be funny though, like Guardians.
Yeah, the humor.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have the humor in this.
Yeah.
Without that, it's an L for me. But I'll take an Uncharted, a funny Uncharted. I'm good.
I think and you hire the people to help you get done things you've never done before, right? Like I thought about this when everybody was dogging Playgrounds for Fable. I was like, they didn't take the entire racing game team and say, okay, go make Fable. They hired combat designers and quest people and writers and all these things. So I think if third person is the way they want to go with it, and I agree that they should, they'll get there. They'll get whatever resources they need to make that happen.
Indeed. I was trying to answer someone in the chat how to win.
I see.
Yeah.
I'll vamp some more.
Japan
We're gonna
apparently
take
scored
a,
another one.
yep.
That's true. In the
With
let
timer,
me
Matt.
check real quick. Yeah, it's 1-1. Japan, Spain, 1-1. That is actually very good for Germany, I think. So yeah, it's exciting whether Germany will stay in the World Cup or not. But we are talking about video games here, and Dutch. I know you have an addiction and love something, and that is great open world games. And I know a game you have never played, and that is The Witcher 1. So good news for you, my
You're
friend.
right.
Who has played The Witcher 1 here? Raise hand.
I have.
Nope.
I've played The Witcher
You
1,
have?
The Witcher 2, and The Witcher 3. I haven't completed The Witcher 1, though.
I haven't played Witcher 1 or 2. I've only played Witcher 3.
Me too.
Only
Only
Okay.
3.
only 3. Astreis, what about you?
I haven't played any of them. And,
Where's
and-
that kid
It's fine.
found?
I know, right?
Remove
There's the
from
boot.
stream.
I know.
Listen, I'm going to say something very unpopular. It's all right.
So I bought it actually a couple years ago now, and kept getting pulled away from it for whatever various different reasons. Other stuff was coming out, but I'm committed to playing it through and finishing.
Can we get a community
when the
chat
update
going?
comes out.
A poll to see who else is.
Okay,
Not
I'm gonna put a
do
poll
that.
in the chat. Give me a second.
I
Because
know.
I
I know we're not alone.
it's a big chunk though. A lot of people consider that a game of the generation.
Yeah,
That's why I played 3, because everyone talked about it. I was like, all right, fine. Just, I don't know, kind of wasn't for me. I don't know.
I have 2 on Xbox, and I think it's even been up-res, I believe. I never got to the franchise until 3, and I played 3, and then I was going to go to 2, and then obviously they announced they're doing 1 again. So I'm kind of wondering if 1 does really well, this remaster, could it maybe remaster 2? I don't know how what sort of game it is or how it lines up, but I'm almost at the point now where I'm thinking, is it maybe a bit old and a bit janky? I've got enough games to play without going back to 1 from that long ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I won't. I have been tempted more than once recently, as I've been itching to play Witcher 3 and holding off for this next gen patch.
So
but
I have
every
a
time I
question.
think about it, a new game comes out that I get, and I'm like, I'll play that now.
I have a question for Box and Dutch. I'm going to make the assumption that you two are the resident Witcher experts. Is that a fair assumption? Okay, so
Boxy is
biggest
more
fans-
than I am. Boxy's played them all 4,000.
I've played them all. I only finished The Witcher 1 once. I finished The Witcher 2 twice, and The Witcher 3 4.5 times.
Jeez.
So
It's
1.5
fair to say.
1.5
And I read the
experts.
first 2 books. I haven't. So, yeah. Excuse me, I was a little distracted by the chat. Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, sure. I didn't actually get your question. It was more set up as a disclaimer. So the question I have is, I've tried The Witcher 3. It's kind of in the same category as Mass Effect the last time we caught up, where it's like I've tried it like 2 or 3 times, and I've never been able to get into it.
Yeah.
Something about it. And then when I do return to it, the combat is just a little difficult for me.
Yeah.
And then because I'm starting back over, I have to relearn. So from someone in my position, maybe Rhetri's position, who are like, yeah, that looks so good. I see you guys enjoying it so much. Could you help a brother out? Like, what is the diff there between? Because obviously you love it. I want to love it.
Boxenberger's
tried it a
top
couple
5
times.
tips for Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Top 5.
And Dutch, because he's got some.
Okay.
experience there, all 3.
So the first thing is you have to bring patience. I think, RPGs are usually about your character gets better and better. But the great thing about The Witcher is you will also become better in playing the game. Like literally, when you invest the time into the game, you will suddenly realize, okay, it's not just Geralt getting better and you suddenly kick ass in the combat because of that bit, but because you learn how to really make use of the things the combat system has to offer. I know it feels a little clunky and non-responsive in the beginning, especially when you compare it to like games like Arkham City or something, where you have that free flow combo and you can chain up like 20 hit combos with no problem whatsoever. That's not The Witcher. The Witcher really needs you to actually learn how to fight or use that combat system. So that's one thing. You have to have patience with the game. It does. I understand if it doesn't click with anyone. I always say, like, you do this. You start with the game. Then you have a certain intro sequence with a little tutorial section. You know, you Geralt and Ciri fighting in the court, and then you will have a little first open area where you have a bigger boss fight at the end. A griffin comes in, and then you. And after that, the first main mission is the Red Baron, and you have to give the game the time. It takes you, I don't know, depends, of course, on how well you mop up the first intro area and map. It takes you, I don't know, about 10 hours or so to get to the Red Baron. And if you're not in love with the game after the Red Baron, I think the game isn't for you. So, but you have to...
Which is okay. Because not every game is for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. If I make fun of people not liking The Witcher, it's really just making fun.
Just remember, of course, Box still hasn't played BioShock. So
indeed, I have not.
That out there.
I still, but I have it. I actually own it.
You own it. Okay.
I have the BioShock trilogy.
Just play in
thing.
the dark, please. Just play in the dark.
At some point I have to get to it. I know.
What about you, Dutch? What are your advice for someone trying to reintroduce themselves into Witcher 3 specifically?
So for Witcher 3, for me, my main advice is when you start it, do not stop. Because when you stop, you forget everything.
That's been me every time.
That was
so
my
hard.
issue.
And that's the issue. So when you do get around to it, make sure it's a game. It's at the point where you can say, right, this is the main game I'm playing. And this is the one I'm playing till the end. Don't have it as a game that you're going to just drop in and out of, because you will forget how to craft, how to make potions, how to do all the different actions, all the signs. You're going to forget a lot. So
just like Elden Ring, you got to commit your life. A couple months.
But more in depth, because of course the story is expanding. You'll have different relationships with the major characters. You'll have the different kind of quest lines going off. So you've got the main quest line, but you'll have some side quests which feel like main quests and are as impressive in some cases as the main quest. So sometimes you'll go down a rabbit hole thinking it's something to do with the main story, and it's got nothing to do with the main story, but it's been that engrossing. It's just sucks you down there. So the main advice I would say is the game itself, when you get into it and you start learning, get some good armor, and you've kind of leveled yourself up a bit and you've got some awesome weapons, then it becomes fun. Like really fun to play, but just don't stop, because if you stop, you'll struggle to get back into it, and you'll end up finding yourself in this horrific loop of just restarting the game every time.
And to be fair, once you get into it, you don't want to stop. Like as soon as it gets its claws in you, you will.
You don't want to stop. And the thing is,
such a good world.
Yeah. Have you watched the Netflix series by any chance?
Oh yeah,
Love it.
I have.
So
really good.
The next gen patch
what they
out.
do. And this is also something that a beginner probably does not do when he plays the first time The Witcher. If you watch the series, like Geralt is always preparing for a fight. And you have to do that as well in the game, especially in the early stage of the game, where you are not OP yet. Because if you mop up the map and you do the side stuff, of course, eventually you will also be more or less like OP. But if you have trouble with the game, like in certain areas, prepare for the fight. Oil your sword. Find the right oil. Yeah, if you fight a vampire, put on the vampire oil. You have to prepare yourself and equip the proper potions. Yeah, you have two. You can equip 2 potions on the shortcut. Yeah, so you have to think about this. How do you want to fight that vampire? And that's just what I love about that game. You know, it's so.
Dude, you are glowing. talking about it.
I know.
I just love it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
age.
Don't get me started on age now.
I'm going to bookmark this this part of this podcast. I'm going to come back to it when I restart up The Witcher 3. I'm literally going to do that, and then I'll tweet it so everyone knows, hey, I'm going to play it. I'm going to bookmark it because I love hearing you talk about it, and I can't wait till you talk about it again because the next gen patch is coming out. I freaking love hearing about it. So thank you very much.
All I'll talk about online is as soon as the patch hits, it'll be a flood of screenshots and everything. And I'd also say play Gwent. Genuinely.
Oh yeah. I love Gwent.
When I first played it, I never did the mini game Gwent. I got into it, and it was a really, again, it's such an immersive world. It was a really nice way to, after some intense missions, to go and play some cards. It just added an extra layer of immersion to the world. It kind of was a bit of not comic relief, but it kind of a way to sort of chill out a bit because it can get quite intense. But yeah, what Box said there, the joy comes from you don't just sort of run in and just fight everything. You pick up a contract for something and you find out what it is. You put the right oils on, use potions, and then you go and do what you got to do. But by all means, when you get into it, like I'm sure any of us would happily give further advice. I could talk about The Witcher 3 all day.
Oh yeah, we have to make a dedicated Witcher podcast at some point. Let's see, how is the community doing with The Witcher? We put up a poll. I'll leave it up for everyone who hasn't voted yet in the chat. I asked who has played The Witcher so far. 29% said, so who has played The Witcher 1 was the question, yeah? So far, 29% said yes, which is awesome. 1/3 of the community has played this really awesome game. That's where it all started. 51% said no, they haven't played The Witcher 1, and 20% said they haven't even played any Witcher game. So...
Dang.
So before we get to The Witcher 1 and the remake, which is actually, I think, what we wanted to talk about, let me put out one thing. The Witcher 2 holds up really well. It's got the FPS boost now and auto HDR. And yes, you can tell it's like, I think, 12, 13 years old now. So it's a little dated at some points, but it still holds up really well. So if you want to go back and see where everything started, I think that's also a very good starting point because The Witcher 1 really is outdated. But the good news is the remake is not just going to be like the old game in Unreal 5. We actually got a couple of infos on the game this week. It will be a modern reimagining. They will not only modernize things like the combat system and the quest system, they will actually make it a full open world game, which The Witcher 1 is not. The Witcher 1 is much like The Witcher 2, where you progress to a certain area, you have like a certain open area, you can do stuff, but once you move on, you move on. So it's more like a linear thing, yeah? And that's gonna change. They make this a full-fledged open world game, and it will come out after The Witcher 4, so the next main entry game, and it will take advantage of all the technologies and the things that they developed for The Witcher 4. So that sounds to me like it's basically a complete new game, not just like a remake. So do you guys think that's the way how to do a proper remake, or does it even sound a little bit too much? Because they obviously will deviate a lot from the original game's formula.
I think you should always update game mechanics. I think that's a given. So as someone who wasn't even a fan of The Witcher's 3 mechanics, I welcome this, and I'll definitely try it out. I try out everything, so I think that's most important.
Yeah, if you're going to sort of say you're remaking something, then I think it's kind of in the name. You should remake it. If you're going to just remaster something, that's different. So like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, for example, I was very pleased that was the games I remembered, but just in 60 frames at 4K, absolutely fine. That I was fine with that. It wasn't sold as anything other than a remaster. But yeah, if it's a remake, then I think the effort should be put in to remake it. I think of things like Resident Evil 2, for example. It was remade and it was the better for it, I would argue. Not saying it was better than the original game at the time, but times change, so things need to move with times, I think. So doing something to bring it up to a modern audience, definitely. And I've never played Witcher 1. I don't think I wouldn't go back to the original game now because I've heard that it hasn't aged that well. So for someone like me, a fully remade game with new quality of life and all the rest of it, perfect. I think it's the right thing to do. And they're obviously putting a lot of, just even with this update being free and looking at what they're doing on it, they're obviously taking the whole sort of franchise really seriously, which I love to see. I'm a little. I understand why they've gone to Unreal Engine. I think someone mentioned Unreal Engine there. I get it, and I think I put something out a couple of days ago when they were advertising for a developer, and that's kind of, I think, why they did it, because you've got people who are talented across the industry who don't need to learn your unique tool set. In the same breath, I'm a little bit gutted it's going away from their proprietary engine, because I think it was quite a nice engine, and everything. And there's a bit of a consolidation of it. It's a different topic, I know, so I won't go into it too much. I'm sure it'll look incredible. And I'm looking forward to playing it whenever it comes out. But I think we're a way off, aren't we?
Oh yeah, it'll be a while. There are so many Witcher games coming, but it's gonna be a long while.
They announced like 5 games in one day.
Yeah, loads. It's fantastic. I love when they came out with that recent update they did. The confidence from them all was great. They were really confident in what they were announcing, confident in what they were showing. The next gen update that they showed recently, again, it was full of confidence. It's really nice to see, because they obviously were having such a hard time around the launch of Cyberpunk from an optics point of view. But they they put the time in, they put the effort in and the work in, and they brought that back up. And I bought that recently.
It's more successful than ever.
Exactly. So I think they're a really, really good studio, and I'm glad that even though they have that small road bump, it hasn't impacted their long-term roadmap. And they've got all these things in the pipeline, and I'm really pleased with CDPR's 5-10 year roadmap, to be honest with you. Absolutely, gentlemen. We have to move on to the next topic. We have a couple of things we need to cover, but let me briefly shout out Fun Speculation. Mav is in the chat. He is. He has his show later, PM in the PM with our brothers Pog Soul. So definitely, if you want to have a fun conversation, fun podcast later today. Definitely make sure to check out PM in the PM. But yeah, guys, who's a Mario fan here? Raise hands. I think we all are. Who isn't? Absolutely. Oh, before we talk about the Mario movie, let me close the poll in chat and see the final result. So numbers have shifted a little bit. Even more gamers have not played. 24% have not played any Witcher game. 26% actually played the first Witcher, and 48% didn't play the first one, but played another one. So, good stuff. Yeah, the Mario movie actually had what I thought was a fantastic trailer this week. So who's excited? Yeah, right.
I'm confused by the Well, it's Twitter. I thought the first trailer was hilarious with the penguins in the beginning, and they're like, "What are you gonna do now, Bowser?" And he just destroys everything. I was laughing. I think this is gonna make so much money. I think it's gonna print money. This could break records. Sonic, I think it's gonna beat Sonic. I really do.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think it looks great. Besides the voice acting, but they paid Vin Diesel to play Groot.
I know.
So whatever. It was a mistake. I don't think anyone except for ultra geeks are going to harp on it. At the end of the day, your average person does not care. So I think it's going to do great. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to do. It would do, and I'm actually not too fussed about the voice acting. To be honest with you, I'm not invested in Mario enough for it to bother me that much. Right. I think Bowser is easily going to be the best character in that film. Jack Black is just incredible.
Yeah, he is.
And I same as you, Rhetri. That is going to do really, really well. It looks polished. It looks great. To be honest, I mean, I'm not a huge Mario fan. To be honest with you, I don't really play that much Nintendo games. But I watched it and I thought, yeah, I'll go to the cinema to watch this. Definitely, it looks fantastic.
There's a lot of references too, like crazy in the last trailer, just kind of tipping their hat to Nintendo guys. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, they put him in the cat suit, and they had the fireball flower, Mario Kart, like
flying fish, everything,
everywhere,
so much stuff. Yeah, I wonder how long it's going to be. Are we thinking like 2.5 hours of this?
No, 90 minutes or so. It's going to be
not.
Yeah, short movie like these animated Pixar movies and stuff. They like 90 minutes or so. Yeah, but I love that they even put the little things in. Like. You have that sequence where he drove the Mario Kart. You've seen that, like the platforming that he sucks at, and stuff like that. Even the flower, and I see Dutch is distracted and of Germany losing the match right now, and if they're gonna continue that road, they are out of the tournament. So Dutch, let us hear your thoughts on the Mario movie. Something to cheer you up. Myself.
I'm obviously not German myself, but I have German family, so it's unfortunate to see them like that. But in terms of Mario, the only thing I can hope for me personally is it's at least as good as the Sonic films, because they've been terrific. They've been good fun, great family fun, very enjoyable to watch. Cool little stories, great actors. So as long as they are on par with Sonic, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Very much so. There's a lot of awesome animated films and series and everything coming up, gaming related, over the next year or so. So it's an awesome time, and a lot of them are very high quality. So fingers crossed, it's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Astreis, anything to add before I want to start to talk about the latest of the ABK deal?
Oh no, I'm excited for it. I thought the original trailer looked good. I thought that about like what Rhetri said. A lot of vitriol toward Chris Pratt for being Mario, but like I told you in chat, I'm a big Chris Pratt fan. I think the guy can do whatever, so I'm sure it'll be a ton of fun, and yeah, I'll be there to watch it for sure.
Sweet. All right, gentlemen. It wouldn't be World of Gaming week in 2022 if there wasn't something happening in the biggest acquisition the gaming industry has seen to date. So this week, actually, a couple of things happened. Like, another country approved the deal. Serbia has conditionally cleared the merger. Following up, of course, Saudi Arabia and Brazil saying similar things. There's literally nothing that would lead to a monopoly or something to anti-consumer. So, Astreis, I want to hear from you. Is that something you expect from the CMA and the EU as well? Finally clear it, or will they have conditions?
I think they will have conditions. At least that's the way it sounds now. This whole thing has been batty, right? Like, just how public it's been. I've become a huge fan of Hogue Law over the last several months. The guy's channel's doing gangbusters, and I couldn't be happier for him. But he just has such an interesting knowledge set, being a corporate lawyer, getting to talk about all this. But it's so interesting the way CMA and the EU regulators have landed, because it almost sounds like they're just constantly regurgitating Sony's concerns over the acquisition when Sony's concerns are all just being bummed out that they're, that it's possible that some of the mind share could go the other way. And that's not a regulator's job to defend Sony's position as the market leader. And it's always kind of comical to me that, when Sony puts out these announcements or responses, that all the things they're concerned about Microsoft doing if the acquisition goes through are things that they're already doing. So,
yeah.
Are we on the Activision?
Yes, we're talking about Serbia clearing the deal unconditionally. But something I fully agree with you, Astreis. The thing is, there was a rumor this week that Microsoft is likely to offer concessions soon to help gain the EU approval for the Activision Blizzard. I want to quote. Yeah, please. I want to briefly quote what a spokesperson, a Microsoft spokesperson, apparently told Reuters. Sony, as the industry leader, says it's worried about Call of Duty, but we've said we are committed to making the same game available on the same day on both Xbox and PlayStation. We want people to have more access to games, not less. And then I'm paraphrasing now because the next part would be very long to read. That's why Microsoft is likely to offer concessions soon, up to a 10-year plan. We have heard about the 10-year plan before, but now it sounds like that's what they offer. The weird thing is, and Dutch, I've seen you talk about that on Twitter on this rumor, is it's not just a 10-year plan, apparently, according to this rumor. It's not just a 10-year plan to bring Call of Duty to PlayStation, but that they're gonna keep like the marketing rights and everything. So, Dutch, can you say again what you said on Twitter, because I think you nailed it there.
Yeah, it was down to licensing. So a licensing agreement can be several things. Whether the licensing agreement includes things like advertisement rights, whether the licensing agreement is just simply licensing the game to be able to sell on the console, whether it includes the ability, as Sony usually do in their contract negotiations, for not having the game on Game Pass. There's a lot of nuances in there, but I think 10 years is more than substantial enough. Personally, I think it will just be 10-year guarantee to keep the game on the console. I think Xbox themselves and Microsoft themselves have stated on numerous occasions that we'll give you 10 years if there's a kind of still PlayStation around in a decade. Like, they don't potentially see PlayStation still being in the scene, but in 10 years, based on the current trajectory of what their kind of aims are. And the reason they're kind of going down that route primarily is because their focuses have primarily been and have always been console only. Now, yes, they've started to go into PC recently, but it is a very small drop in the hat in compared to the overall market. Microsoft's branching out significantly to every platform, and there's a reason for that. It's because they've mentioned themselves it is absolutely unsustainable to think that console gaming will keep this afloat going forward. Like, you have to be everywhere in order to make sure that gaming in general is sustainable for the company to invest in. And that's one of the major things. If the company's investing 70 billion into a publisher, or multiple publishers in this case, it's not just expected that consoles going to it's never, console gaming will never ever repay 70 billion. Never ever. No matter how much you try, it's never going to pay back that 70 billion. So it has to be everywhere. It's the overall game plan and longevity of it. So when Sony have mentioned previously that subscriptions are not sustainable. I agree. If it's solely console only, which is what PlayStation is, then no. So the subscription will definitely not be sustainable because you've only got one platform of that subscription. That's like having Netflix, but then only having it on a TV and not having it on
Bingo.
mobile, not having it on laptops. Like it.
That's
it
why
would be-
Mixer failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and it is the case when you have a digital platform or some form of digital product, i.e., video games. The more places there are, the better it is that the better the chances that you're going to recoup your costs and make money. Now, the less places you have your service, whether that be games or subscriptions or films or music, whatever it is, the less places you have that, the less chance for growth you have. Microsoft's main aim, regardless of where their games are, is to have their games everywhere, whether that be through mobile, whether that be on your TV, whether that be on your smartwatch or your refrigerator or laptops or whatever it is that you can play a game on, they want it there. So when they've deadly serious in the past, but when they said we'd love to see Game Pass on competition platforms, but we doubt that will happen because they don't want that. They literally want their games everywhere, and Sony should strive for that. Nintendo should strive for that. But Nintendo have the upper hand over Sony in that their platforms historically have always been a mixture of both. They've been hybrid consoles, so they're both mobile and an actual physical living room console. So they don't have that particular issue, which has always been a positive for them, of course. But Sony have that problem. Sony have the problem that they only have one particular section. So Call of Duty only on their console, Microsoft are completely willing to do that because it doesn't affect them in the slightest. It's going to raise lots of money for Microsoft by keeping it on the platform. I think Sony's issue is the contractual terms here. They'll want obligations that it's not in Game Pass.
Yeah.
They'll want obligations that they get marketing rights.
Yeah.
And I can't see
Never going to happen.
Yes, Microsoft
Yeah.
will go to
Never.
court over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Microsoft or Xbox will concede those. I think they'll say the concessions are that you've got the game for 10 years guaranteed. There is
Yes.
no requirement in the market or anywhere else. There is no jurisdiction in the world that would force us to not have this on a subscription or force us to give
To
you
use
the
it as a
advertising, right?
marketing thing.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah, I agree.
So
Dave, what do you think about this entire thing, the Activision Blizzard deal?
Yeah, I find myself listening to Dutch. I feel like you come to this conversation with obviously a lot more experience and just overall knowledge. So I find myself doing a leaning back and not a leaning forward. So the information keeps coming. You know, Box, I think you said it like last week or the week before. It is the gift that keeps on giving. It gives us perspectives that we would not have if this acquisition were not taking place. These responses are chock full of good information, and it's what we're talking about here. So I know that there was different aspects of this I could touch on, like the geopolitical challenges potentially with China, which I think are baked in already. I don't think there's any new information there that we don't already know. There is the possibility of defining the market as cloud streaming, which I think is going away as opposed to becoming a stronger factor. The reason for that is Stadia is shutting down, Luna has layoffs, and Xbox has admitted itself that usership is low according to BD Sams. So if you are going to attempt to criticize this acquisition from the perspective of the market being cloud streaming, that argument has just become weaker over the course of the last 3 months, which brings it back to Call of Duty. And that brings it really back to what Dutch was talking about. And in a Seeking Alpha article I was looking at, just to kind of put in perspective, Sony is paying Activision Blizzard, I think 1.3 billion was part of the revenue for 2021 as I'm looking at the chart. Google and Apple both paid more than that. So, Microsoft, I feel like I understand Sony is such a large part of this, but I feel like in the conference rooms at Microsoft, they're not so concerned with Sony. And I think that's why they're willing to provide a 10-year guarantee for COD.
Yeah.
I think they're more concerned with Apple and Google.
Mm-hmm.
And this deal enables them to potentially push further into mobile, which, to Dutch's point, gets to their games in front of more people, which increases their potential revenue from a $70 billion transaction. And that's the way I view it. So I think it's a really good summary, Dutch. I appreciate kind of just leaning back and listening to what you have to say, not just this show, but in prior shows as well. So anybody doesn't follow Dutch, follow him on Twitter, would you?
Indeed. Fact. Indeed. If anyone doesn't follow any of these gentlemen, should definitely do that. And you find all your links are in the description. So just click in the description of the show note and you will find those gentlemen on Twitter to hit them up and chat about gaming with them. And they are always a fun bunch of folks to talk to. So I can highly recommend to follow them. Peter, Rhetri, do you guys have anything to add on this?
Just a little bit. I agree with what everyone else said. I think Microsoft was always prepared to go to 10 years. I don't think that's like this to them. I don't even think they care at all. As someone who's negotiated not stuff like this in this like high regard, but I've been in the union and we've done negotiations. You always start low. So 3 years was their low ball. They expected to go beyond that. So it's no biggie. They really want mobile. You see Phil has been saying the word duopoly a lot lately. All of a sudden, he is absolutely planting the seed for regulators to go after Apple and Google. It's coming. They want to get in there without having to pay the Apple and Google tax. It's ridiculous. Windows is wide open. So there is a history of Microsoft doing the right thing for third parties to get into their ecosystem and make money, where Apple and Google, exact opposite. So hopefully this shines a light on them and Microsoft can step in, because that's the real money anyways. That's what they care about. They don't care about COD. They care about King.
Honestly, I think I said something similar a few weeks ago. I feel like Microsoft intentionally wants the conversation around Call of Duty because
100%.
They know
Look
exactly.
Look at this.
Yeah, exactly. Like they make it real hard. No, we are not giving you anything Call of Duty exclusive. Okay, come on. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. There you go. And then everyone is satisfied. But that's really not the main focus. So they're just using that as like, okay.
Sleight of hand trick.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Especially Sony's eating right into it.
Yep.
If
I were Sony, I would have been going after cloud from the start. If I really wanted to kill this, that's where I would have went.
Yeah.
I don't understand them
cloud and mobile.
going, doing this over COD. That was the wrong angle, in my opinion.
They chose to attack Game Pass and try to make multi-game subscriptions a separate market, and there's no argument for that.
Yep.
It's solely an alternative to the buy-to-play model, but it fits into the exact same games consumption market.
Yeah, and I don't see FTC being an issue at all either. I just said this the other day on Boom's podcast. After you had the union, the largest union in the United States, go, we're in. It was over, like, for the FTC. Political-wise, no one's going to touch that. Like, the Democrats are not. All of a sudden, they all shut up. Do you notice that? All the politics. You're not hearing anything all of a sudden from Elizabeth Warren and Bernie and those guys. Nothing, not a peep, because the union said we're good with it. FTC will approve this easily.
I agree. All right, Peter. Last word on this, and then we're gonna do our big giveaway today.
Yes. Yeah, I won't go too much into it because it's everyone's covered so much. All I'd say is from the start there was always going to be concessions. There's a reason why the second it was announced, Phil Spencer came out and said, "I've had talks with Sony. We're going to do Call of Duty." It was always going to be a thing. 10 years is probably about as long as you'd ever hope for in the corporate world. I mean, 10 years is a lifetime. Who knows what the market's going to be like in 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's huge. And I think it's a sign they want to just get it done. They don't want to have to really go in front of a judge with this. It's going to cost more money. It's going to take more time. From Sony's point of view, end of the day, whether I think that their arguments have been weak, but end of the day, his job is to his shareholders. So I think they smelt some blood in the water on this. They realised that a couple of the jurisdictions in the world kind of were listening to them. So they thought, okay, we've got a receptive audience here, so we're gonna go for this because why not? If they can make it more difficult, if they can squeeze more out of it for them, then they're going to do that because his job is to his shareholders and to make sure that they're sort of financially protected as best they can. I think it will go through. I've got nothing to base it on. I've not got any insight into the corporate world. That's purely a gut feeling. I think it will go through. I think there's going to be concessions. I think there always was going to be concessions. I do think that Microsoft have maybe hit a few more roadblocks than they anticipated. Some of their messaging that they've come out with over the last few months, like with Satya Nadella coming out and saying let's have competition, and with the website, the web page they announced how this is good. I think some of that does point to the fact that they kind of maybe have come up against a bit more of okay, this maybe isn't going to be as smooth as we thought. So let's get in front of this. And the 10-year thing is they're maintaining their sort of white knight image, to use one of Hogue's expressions. It makes them look great. Oh, it's about core duties. Well, here we are. Take the longest deal that any business would ever realistically give. 10 years. Here we are. They were never going to take it off PlayStation anyway. So I don't think they're giving anything away. But it looks good from a regulatory point of view, and also if Sony's made it all about COD, if they then refuse that, then you might get the regulators thinking, well, hang about, are you playing us? Was this always about COD, or was this about something else, sort of thing? So I think, again, I've got no logic, I've got no insight to back this up. I think Sony's potentially playing a bit of a dangerous game, because if you push so far and then your bluff is called and then you're still asking for something else, something more, could it get to the point where the regulators sort of realise that they've been played a little bit? I don't know how this world works enough to answer that question myself. It's definitely something for someone like a Hogue or someone who's worked with these regulatory bodies to answer. But it's gone from being exciting to I kind of want it to be done now.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. I think a lot of people do, me included. We get into that point.
I don't play COD. I don't care.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing that console gamers will get. Yeah, like everyone.
For me personally, the Bethesda thing was like 100 times better for me personally.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely same here.
I could care less about COD, about mobile. I get the business cases behind it, and it's great. And if it increases Game Pass subs and that has a knock-on effect with better games,
Diablo.
Fine, great.
Diablo
and Overwatch.
That's every decade, every decade or so.
Diablo Game Pass 2023. Let me see that at the Game Awards.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, there's so much to say on this whole thing. It's a bit of a mess. I mean, I've just seen something else come out today. I don't know where on Twitter. It might be completely false. I saw one little thing saying apparently that they might have come to some sort of an agreement with Sony.
It was Windows Central, I think, wrote a thing
again,
on it.
Who knows? I just, it'd be great when they can stop talking about Activision Blizzard, because I'm sure that there's other stuff that Microsoft want to be doing with other publishers that is more exciting to me as a gamer, that they're not doing right now, because all their efforts are focused on this and trying to not show regulators that they're trying to buy everyone out.
That's interesting, considering Sony's final word in their 11-page response to the CMA was Activision must remain independent.
I mean, that statement.
So for them to sign a deal now looks pretty foolish.
I mean, that's silly. He basically is saying without Activision independent, the gaming industry falls apart.
Right.
I don't.
I think they think they're talking to people who don't know anything about anything.
Well, I think that's the thing. They found an ear with the UK and the European regulators that are listening to them And they're like, because it's easy to say Microsoft, big tech, bad, $2 trillion company.
Mm-hmm.
We're the little guys. It's a really easy picture to draw in front of someone who might not know as much about the industry. So I get it. I understand why they're doing that, and from a business point of view, that they're doing what they need to do to protect their business interests. Sure, because they will lose the market share, which is fine. If this goes through, and I've thought about this before, if this was, I like boxing, so I've likened it to a boxing match. If you had a boxing match and the referee stopped the fight after one punch, do you know what I mean? You're allowed to fight back and forth as long as the other person can defend themselves, and actually the ref will encourage them to defend themselves. It's fine. So I know it's not a perfect analogy, but it's kind of, if they end up losing a bit, I don't see it as being a problem. Really, and I know there's a wider discussion about consolidation in the industry and all the rest of it, and that's beyond my scope to talk on.
I think if Sony loses some mind share and some market share, you don't see them raise prices around the world. I think you see them maybe consider more heavily investing in PC day one games on their subscription service. I mean, the possibilities are really there if they're not just sitting back on their laurels and going, we'll just make them pay whatever for our console, and then our games speak for themselves. Like that's
hopefully, like they try to lure people in by offering the better value, not just more expensive games.
We need a strong Microsoft, a strong Sony, a strong. You need all these companies to be strong. The industry is better for it.
Absolutely.
This whole sub-service that the PlayStation has just done, I've no doubt on one at all that we wouldn't be having a PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium if it wasn't for Game Pass, for example.
Sure.
Because they wouldn't need to do it. So these things, they elevate the competition to do something better,
right?
To get our money, and that elevates the people that sort of say, that's we don't want Microsoft are doing nothing, Sony doing nothing. It's a bit silly because we need them all as strong competitors in the industry. And Xbox One era, it wasn't. It was really, really heavily one-sided between those two main players, between Sony, and I don't think it's not a good thing for anyone. So really, if this is that they're different companies with different strategies and tactics, if this is what Microsoft needs to do, leverage their strengths. Their strengths are their money. That's what that's a strength they're going to leverage. Sony's strengths are their market share in the industry and their contacts in the industry that helps them leverage third-party deals and to keep games above the consoles. That's their strength. Great. You do what you do. You lean on your strengths. Well, they lean on their strengths, and collectively, everyone kind of will try to one up the other. And we're sitting back and just going, "This is great because I'm now getting this and this and this."
Indeed.
Yep.
Well said. Guys, I think it's time to do the community giveaway. We're gonna give away a gift card for Xbox or PlayStation. You can choose freely. I always say that, but I truly prefer to choose Xbox because it just makes my life easier. Because I can easily gift codes, and get codes for Xbox. But PlayStation, it's a lot more complicated. If you want to gift a code from Germany in the US for PlayStation, it's like impossible. I always have to PayPal the people the money actually. But you are still free to choose, of course. So you know how we do giveaways on this show. We have this week the hashtag community. So type into the chat hashtag community, no capital letters, all small letters, no capitals. And I'm just gonna share while you guys do that. I will share the giveaway tool. Where is it? There it is. So let me see. There you can see it. Hashtag community. Type that in the chat, gentlemen, and then we will give away a $25 or euro gift card for Xbox or PlayStation. Hashtag community, no capital letters. Just type it in. We leave that on for a second, and move into the final topic of the show before we go to the community questions. But hey, Dave Ramos sends in the super chat to support the giveaways, which is awesome, even though he's on the panel. Dude, he says,
Wow.
yeah, that's commitment, gentlemen.
All right, Dave.
On this community special, big shout out to the community and the continued support. It's awesome to see, and a big thank you, you folk rock. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. The community is absolutely fantastic. So, Cepho, I don't know what hashtag that is that you'd put into the chat, but that won't be. With that, you won't be able to participate. So, hashtag community in the chat. Gentlemen, the Game Awards are around the corner, and we're not going to talk about the predictions for which game's going to win or
Elden Ring.
Yeah, probably. But I think we all agree. We watched the Game Awards not for the awards, but for the trailers. So I want to know from you, gentlemen. Let's hear some names. What games will we see at the Game Awards?
Hellblade 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
good
Hellblade
one.
2 is a good one.
Yeah, I think that's a given. I'm kind of tired of seeing it, though. We've seen a lot. You know what I mean?
Hellblade 2
Yeah,
in a
I've
release
seen.
date. I think we get Hellblade 2 in a release date.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
That's what Dutch said. He said they're gonna do the hat trick, right? That's what
Yeah.
she called it. Yeah.
100%. I think
I'm
we'll
saying
see an
Avowed.
extended gameplay trailer, and we'll get a release date. Because it's been it's only been at the Game Awards, hasn't it? Hellblade 2. It's only shown at those shows.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice.
Next release in the
Right.
last year.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
saying Avowed. I think we'll see something on Avowed.
Avowed would be awesome.
See a big black screen goes Avowed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2024.
Might be it.
Goosebumps.
And that's all it is, just Avowed 2024. And I'm like, oh, I'm stoked.
2023.
I think we see nothing about Starfield at all. I don't think that game shows up
Really?
in any way, shape, or form. I know.
Really?
I know
I'm going to go ahead and disagree there, buddy.
I hear people say that we will get the release date there.
I actually think we'll see nothing. I don't know. I'm probably completely wrong. Just I think it's gone dark. Apart from we've got the interviews and stuff, I don't think we see any more of the game at all until like at some point in Q1 next year, maybe even Q2, because I think it's coming out in holiday next year as well. To be fair, so this all hinges on the fact that I think we're still 11 months away from launch. So
yeah. Who knows? Let's talk about a couple of possible third-party trailers in a second. Everyone, type in #community to enter the giveaway. We only have like a handful of entries now, so chances are really high right now. So #community in the chat. You will automatically enter the giveaway. So what third party game will we see?
Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I think so too. That's highly likely, and it's gonna look awesome.
Do you think we'll see more Redfall, or do you think that's cutting that one off too? Because we've seen a bunch of that.
We might get a release date for that as well. Because I think
I think that's a given.
I hope not.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Personally, I hope we don't. Mainly because we have seen a bit of it now.
I don't want to see any more.
Fine, but I don't want to see like another segment of gameplay again. Like,
remember how much Deathloop we saw before that? It was constant, wasn't it? So I agree with you, Dutch. I think we've seen enough of Redfall to know what it's about. I know I think I'm gonna love it. I know what it's about. I think if they do show it, just give a release date and a quick 1 minute and a release date.
Looks great. People are excited for it. Just wasn't coming.
I'd like to see more Diablo, and I can say that because they're not under us yet. But we'll see.
Diablo with a release date.
I think so. I think that's very possible.
That's absolutely. We're gonna continue that in a second, but let's do the giveaway. Let's do the drawing and see who is the lucky winner today. Last chance, guys. #community in the chat will enter you. I'm gonna do a countdown like 5. We have to always prepare for a little delay in between what we do here in the software and what is on on YouTube. So
Oh,
5,
yeah, gotcha.
yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1.
chat. You're funny.
Let's collect and see 11 entries. So who's the lucky winner today? Who is the lucky winner today of a $25?
Almost there.
Casual
Casual
K.
K.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Hello, shades, man. Those are nice.
Yeah, indeed.
massive.
Do me a favor and hit me up. Hit me up on Twitter or YouTube or somewhere on Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, and let me know what you want, Xbox or PlayStation code, and where you live. That's also. I don't need your address. I'm not gonna mail it to you. I need to know the country. I need to know the country you live in. Yeah. So congratulations, man.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. Let me know where, for what platform and which country you want the code. So, yeah, guys. What else could we see at the Game Awards?
I always struggle with this because Keely loves his world premieres.
Yeah, let me throw in something. What about Dragon Age?
I don't
That's
think so.
a good idea. Oh, shoot. I mean, we saw a Mass Effect 4 trailer. That's not coming out anytime soon.
Exactly.
Are we talking, I guess, just a CGI cinematic maybe or something like that?
Actually,
An
EA has said earlier this year that they want to show the game with gameplay reveal this year.
Really?
So,
Well, then, in that case, then if they said that, then it kind of has to be the Game Awards, doesn't
it
it?
has to be the Game Awards, right?
If they
Right.
want to get a big audience, then it kind of has to be there. So I hadn't thought about that. That's a good one.
FromSoft has announced that they're really close to finishing up their next game on a different team than Elden Ring, obviously, but I feel like they've got a good relationship with Jeff and the Game Awards after Elden Ring and stuff. So maybe we see that there.
That'd be great.
Do you think we see Spider-Man 2? Do you think Sony have got a presence there? Do you think we see one of their big games coming up?
Yeah,
That's a good question.
I think they should. Like, what is there that's supposed to come out next year from Sony? And they had an amazing year this year, obviously, but
maybe Spider-Man.
yeah. So I'd love to see them have something under there.
I wouldn't be surprised about Spider-Man. I wonder whether we'll see the Last of Us factions, something to do with that as well.
I wanted to mention that,
I reckon we'll see that. Final Fantasy 16, I think we'll probably see something of.
Yeah.
From the Sony side. And I would like to see something.
That has been, by the way, Final Fantasy 16 has been rated this week in.
Let
me check. In Brazil. Yeah. It got an age 16 restriction in Brazil, so it's been rated there. And that put up the speculation it might be releasing sooner than we think.
Yeah.
Maybe
I would like
Wolverine, something on it. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, after you, please.
I was saying maybe Wolverine because Sony doesn't play by the Microsoft playbook where it's 12 months out. They'll do it. They don't care if it's 5 years out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of doing like a 1-2 punch with, Marvel and superheroes.
If they show Wolverine, I think it has to be gameplay next. And I do wonder whether Insomniac would, because I think Spider-Man 2 is before Wolverine.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'd have gameplay ready for that as well as Spider-Man 2.
See, I wasn't thinking gameplay at all. I would think another cinematic just to shove it down your face.
I'm not sure they do another. They might do. I think they've done cinematic once. I think the next time we see Wolverine, it's something in engine.
I hope so.
I think it will look spectacular because Insomniac are kind of incredible.
They don't miss.
They're just they're so consistent.
Yeah,
and they seem to be able to pump out quality games.
Yeah, their efficiency
and
is incredible.
in record time.
It's quite. I mean, what they buy them for? 200?
300? I think it was 300 something.
Yeah, $300 million.
Whatever. Yeah,
crazy.
Super steal.
Value.
That's a steal.
Absolutely insane value. So I think definitely Spider-Man 2. But I would love to see something new from both. every game we've mentioned are all games we kind of know about, and I know what to expect from most of those games. I think, like what sort of game they'll be. I'd love to. I think someone in the chat says something about Double Fine. I'd love to see something from a studio for a game that we don't know anything about yet. It'd be really great to say, look, we're working on this.
Possibly one of the many gas games from Sony too. I want to see what they're gonna compete with. Let's see it.
Well, that's why I think we'll see the Last of Us factions there. I think we'll definitely see that.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else from that. I mean, we're saying a lot of games here. It's not that much, I suppose. But
but over the last years, we have gotten like 10, 15 proper trailers for bigger games. The Game Awards have become that thing because you basically own the news. There's really nothing after the Game Awards. There's no news cycles. There's nothing, and and you will stay. You will.
My next most anticipated game from the Xbox side, at least after Starfield, is Fable. So, do you think we see anything at all, or do you think it's too soon still to see anything?
I don't think we see anything.
The signal was like, "Oh, they're not going to show anything until it's ready," and it's like, "Well, isn't that a nice way to set me up for potential surprise?"
I mean, pretty much
that's
every
me
time
taking the bait.
He wants to show something, and they say no.
Yeah.
That's what do you think, Fable?
As much as I'd love to see Fable, I don't think we're seeing it at the Game Awards. No.
Yeah, I'm upset. I think you're right.
I think
it's out there hoping for some optimism and some delusional thought. But I think you're right. I don't think we'll see it either. But
I hope we're all wrong. That'd be great.
It's always great, especially when it
Take
comes
that out.
to getting positive news and being wrong about getting positive news. That's good. But realistically, no, I don't think we see Fable. According to pretty much everyone that's seen the game, it looks absolutely tremendous. It looks brilliant. All of the bosses want to show it off, but Playground are saying nope.
But you know what?
Nope.
I like it. I'm pleased with that because it shows that they're obviously they know that they're known as a racing studio, so they know all eyes are going to be on them for this. So the fact that they want to release something quality for the first time, great. And I'm glad that Microsoft seemingly aren't forcing them to show something before they're ready. That I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
stated decay.
Yeah, could,
maybe.
Actually,
Maybe.
We've only got the cinematic. Now is time for a little bit of gameplay.
They were
I don't think
struggling
State of
this year,
Decay is big
too.
enough for the Game Awards. Honestly,
Really?
I think this new one will be because it's.
I disagree. Yeah, I'm with
in
Dutch.
conjunction with the coalition.
Right.
I agree. I agree that in terms it will be massive and it will be a super big polished game and it will be nowhere near the more AA production quality of the second one, which I loved. I spent an insane amount of time in it. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Game Awards is like this chance for Xbox to show gamers that are not Xbox customers why they could or should invest in the ecosystem. You don't do that with a State of Decay 3. You do that with a Fable. You do that with a Perfect Dark. You do that with a Hellblade.
Those pinch hitters.
Yeah,
I agree with you, except the problem is Fable probably won't be there. Perfect Dark definitely will not be there. You know what I mean?
It has been there 2 years ago.
How much stuff does Xbox actually have to show AAA? Like, what's their Hogwarts, right? And I think once you kind of go through that in your head, you start running out of a lot of things because they're allowing these guys to do whatever they want, passion projects, and a lot of those are AA that's now, getting pushed into the AAA territory, which I think is what is happening is with State of Decay, in my opinion, or at least I hope it is.
I think we see a Peter Pan Sea of Thieves crossover.
Peter Pan going to Neverland.
Oh, that would be good, though.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I think we hear a ticking clock, and a crocodile comes out the water, and then Captain Hook appears, and I think they do another Disney crossover.
That'd be cool.
Dude, I don't even play that game, and you're selling that. It sounds good.
I've never played it, but I'd love to see the trailer. I think
the pirate stuff was fun. I logged in and I only did the pirate stuff, and then I jumped out. I'd go back for something else.
That game is a
Contraband,
fantastic
I think,
game
as well.
to play
I think
with
was
some
the
folks.
Contraband gameplay.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
interesting.
Beer.
indeed.
Maybe
Definitely a
more
community game,
details
right,
on
Dave?
what Project
Great game.
Dragon is.
What about Ubisoft?
Meh.
Nah.
I don't know.
They had
Astreis was mentioning at the beginning of the game third-party games that Xbox has, and if this is a big if the game is moving still towards a 2023 release, I would personally love to see another mini piece highlighting the dev of Stalker 2.
Yes.
Their passion
Yes.
in the midst of all their challenges,
yeah.
like a nice
Heck
heartstring
yeah.
piece,
Yeah.
and then end the trailer with a pre-order date, and then appropriately connect how you could support the developer through their challenges. And to me, that's something I would absolutely just melt over.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So that's something
Indeed.
I would say, and
That
that would
game's
fall in the
looking
category of what Astros was
wild.
saying about purchase third-party AAA content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Liza P, maybe get some more gameplay. I don't know. But
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Okay, gentlemen, we have to let Peter go. I know you have a daughter you need to take to bed, which has always the priority here, taking care of the family. So,
Yes,
man, we will the other four of us. We will continue with the community questions. But Peter, thank you so much for joining here today.
Thanks, man. You're welcome.
At least I had a blast. So I
Yeah,
hope you did
great
too.
time. I love chatting with you guys. It's been really good. Sorry, I couldn't stay longer. But it's been a really good time chatting with you, and enjoy the rest of the show. And thanks to everyone in the comments keeping that going, and the super chats, and congrats to I can't remember his name now. The chap who won the giveaway. Well done.
Casual K.
Casual K.
That's it.
Take care,
Congrats.
Peter.
He's in the US, by
Shades.
the way.
Yeah.
Take care.
He already DM'd me on Xbox,
Oh,
so
nice. Perfect. Okay.
gonna take care of him later after the show. Yeah, so thanks, Peter. And guys, if you don't follow Peter already, make sure to click in the show notes. You will find his Twitter there. Make sure to give him a follow. It would be well deserved. So, Peter, man, I see you around, and thanks for joining us here today.
Bye,
See
Pete.
you later. Take care, guys.
Take care, Peter.
Bye.
All right. All right. So, gentlemen, I hope you have another 10, 15 minutes because, we always do the community questions at the end. And this week we can do it with the community together. So what better way to start the community questions?
Ooh, you're so good. Every day I hear the words from you.
I like that.
It has some groove to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So today, actually, we had a couple of community questions that we already answered. Yeah. So we already talked about the question that Garcia wrote in. Do you think Xbox will show anything new at the Game Awards? And what are our predictions? We covered that. And we have another question here coming in from True Iron Leg. Do you think Microsoft will revive old mobile games such as Battle Nations and Trade Nations they got to shut down when King got bought up by Activision?
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know those names either, but he does, and Microsoft probably knows exactly what he's talking about, and they're clearly going to be probably getting more acquisitions in the mobile space. So nothing would surprise me. Get some old IP that people like him love and bring it back. I could see it 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that the creative freedom really does stay at the front of what Xbox Studios and their now, umbrella setups have. So if there's somebody at those studios that's what they want to do, I think that's what they'll get to do. We've seen with Bleeding Edge and Pentiment and Grounded that Xbox will greenlight pretty much anything and then give them the resources to finish it up. So I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I think they will definitely try to use King to grow the mobile space, not just continue what they already have, but to really grow the space. So, yeah, why not revive some old IPs? Although I have to say that we talked about it on your show yesterday. Xbox has not been the best in reviving their old IPs. Xbox has so many old IPs that they could bring back, and for some reason they just don't.
Yep.
So,
Dude, Phil Spencer's going to be on his knees in front of Toys for Bob's doorway. Please make me a banjo
Yes.
game.
Yeah.
Please.
Banjo, man, Banjo. I would love. You know what? I would love to for Xbox to bring back Crimson Skies.
Mm-hmm.
I would
That's a good one.
love to see new
Let
one.
him buy a Sobo and then
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and let them do Crimson Skies. Man, that would be awesome. So C Money writes in on Twitter, and he asks, "What is your most anticipated game for 23? And if it's not announced to be a 23 game, what do you think are the chances of it will actually make it to 23?"
All right, I'll go. Redfall, and only because I need a replacement for Left 4 Dead, like a good replacement for Left 4 Dead.
Mhm.
We did just get Darktide for PC Game Pass, so that could be that game. But I don't know. I'm not even an Arcane fan, to be honest with you. But I'm really looking forward to Redfall, and I didn't want to say Starfield because everybody is going to say that.
Mm.
I'm also in the category of like, if everyone just says Starfield, it'd be like everyone just saying Elden Ring down the launch.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be a little more creative. I want to think about it a little bit more. And, you know, Box, earlier I mentioned Avowed 2024, and you were like, Mr.
Yeah.
Dave, it's 2023. And so if it does squeeze it to 2023, I've played Bethesda titles before.
Yeah.
We all have. I would really want to see how is Avowed going to be handled different. And
Yeah.
if that game squeezes into 2023, I'm going to be like,
Dang.
not annoyed. What's the right word? Where you're like, oh man, I wish
Like
I had
too
more
much?
time off of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just like,
Yeah,
I'm really sick this time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Go
a
Avowed.
really good one. That's a really good one because I love Obsidian. I truly do. I think their RPGs are super special. Their worlds are fantastic. Their writing is amazing. I think Pentiment just proved that. Yeah, that the writing of Obsidian, Josh Sawyer in particular, is incredible. And for them to have like a full AAA budget, the Unreal Engine 5 available, lots of know-how share across the studios, and then they can tackle a high fantasy RPG, which is the best, still the best setting for an RPG in my opinion. Dave, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. Astreis, what do you say?
We're looking at 2023 most anticipated.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think right now it might be. I think I'm going to go. I apologize if I missed it. Anything specific, publisher wise, or just anything? So you guys all said Xbox games.
Yeah.
Or make sure
yeah.
was it Xbox?
Anything.
Just anything.
Okay.
20
I guess
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Hogwarts then because it's early
Mm.
That's a good one.
and everything they show on that game makes me more excited for
It
it.
looks amazing. Yeah.
But I'm really big on Redfall too. I think when they did the CG trailer for it, people weren't really sure what to think of it. But then when we all got surprised with last year's E3, not E3, Xbox press conference, getting to see a big chunk of that, and it looks great. So I don't know. I'm with
We'll
Dave.
play together.
I need more time. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yep. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, and Redfall does look like a ton of fun. So yeah, good choice. Dutch.
Yeah, I would outside of Starfield, I would probably definitely say Hogwarts as well. To be honest, originally it was going to be Avatar. I was really looking forward to Avatar, but that's been essentially delayed indefinitely at this point. It's like 24, maybe it's 25.
We're beyond.
Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would have to be Hogwarts. Like I say, I was unbelievably surprised at the gameplay that come out of it. Like
Yeah.
seeing that game and seeing just how big they created the world and just how much you could do and how much that included within it. I thought it was just incredibly detailed.
Yeah.
And far surpassed my expectations. Now, obviously, I hope the game releases like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, we don't get it, and it's just completely different to what we saw in that gameplay demonstration. But from all accounts, from what we've seen so far, it looks fantastic. So yeah, that's definitely one of my top releases for next year outside of Starfield.
Yeah, I mean, Starfield is the obvious thing to name, right? So I also want to take the opportunity to shout out a couple of others. Diablo is of course up there.
Yes, that's my other one.
It's like 300 hours at least gone right there. So Diablo, I cannot wait to play that, but also need to shout out Stalker 2.
Yep.
If it comes out next year. I was a big fan of the old ones. I like. I mean, I know especially the console gamers haven't played the old Stalker, but
I haven't.
Yeah,
So this is brand new for me.
I think Metro goes more open world RPG like, and that's I really cannot wait. Besides, I really feel for the developers. So yeah, definitely one up there, and then. Suicide Squad Rocksteady is also scheduled for next year, although I think it might get delayed to 24 again. But as of right now, it's scheduled at least for next year. And I'm a big Arkham fan, so I cannot wait to see what Rocksteady does with this IP. And the little gameplay segments we have seen, they look like a mixture of these Arkham games and Sunset Overdrive. I really want to see
That's
what's
a good mashup.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, guys, 23 is gonna be
Atomic
absolutely
Heart. Good call out, Casual K. I'm looking forward to that.
There's-
If it's really BioShock-esque, that game could be awesome. Could.
It could. There's a lot that has a lot of potential. I mean, Forza is also coming next year for the racing fans. So yeah, let us bring the last question. I specifically saved that as the last question, coming from Hertog Win and C Money and Madman FYT and who else wrote that in? Hang on, by Fight Sith Lord. What's your game of the year? Dutch and I, we are not going to answer that because we have a special show on Saturday. So I'm just going to pose this question to you guys. What's game of the year for you? 23 is almost over. I know Callisto is yet to come. High on Life is yet to come.
Right.
But so far, where do you land with game of the year?
I'm just gonna say it. Elden Ring. It's art design like I've never ever seen before. I felt like every area that I went into was like a brand new world, and I am not a Souls guy. I just took a chance on this game. I'm like, everyone won't shut up about it. So I played it and I was hooked, like Skyrim hooked. So for me, nothing comes close.
Nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
It was a great game.
It's going to get a lot of accolades.
Dave?
For me, I mean, I just wanted to kind of platform for a minute. It's like between, Plague's Tale, Elden Ring, God of War, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Gamers, especially PlayStation gamers, have had a banner year of just fantastic games. It doesn't even include Horizon and Stray, and they're all Game of the Year nominees. Like, that's wild. Undeniably a great game for those playing on PlayStation. But turning your attention to the studios, and you have Asobo from Software and Sony Santa Monica, what they accomplish is truly amazing. And it's just great work all around. So choosing a Game of the Year this year isn't so much a exercise in criticism, it's an exercise in a feast of great games. But to put my finger on it, it's Plague's Tale for me.
Sweet.
It's a really,
pick.
really good story.
Yes.
And a good story is part of the creative process, as is pushing the boundaries of gaming forward.
Yeah.
And Asobo accomplished this. So did Sony Santa Monica with God of War Ragnarok and others. And while Elden Ring did push gaming forward, my Dave Ramos most enjoyed game of this year is Plague's Tale. And it's a visual stunner like other nominees. Couple things. Thank gosh for 40 frames per second. Trying to go down to 30 was tough. Thank gosh for 40 frames a second. And a couple of the challenges, like the puzzles during that game, they seem to be solvable by walking a certain way to find the solution to it. But the game designers didn't let you walk that way. So I was like, I could hop over this wall, no problem. Why couldn't I go that way? So that happened a couple times in Plague's Tale. That would be a knock on the game. But overall, I absolutely love this game. Great story. Absolutely beautiful. And thank gosh for 40 frames a second.
Yeah. I just want to add to what he's saying. That felt like, to me, a Sony game. Like, it really did. The story was that freaking good. I did not play the first one and absolutely loved A Plague Tale Requiem. It was so good.
It was. Yeah, absolutely. You have to play the first one.
You should play it.
I did it.
You can play it at
now
120 frames,
I
by the
think
way.
you know why.
Just saying,
Not doing it.
Get him, box.
Yeah, I don't. I still don't get it, but I agree, Dave. It is an incredible game. I actually played it on PC. I got a code up front, and that was a PC code, so I played it there. Of course, no problems with the frame rates on PC. It's an amazing game. It's visually one of the most beautiful games I've seen to date. Honestly, amazing what they pulled off. Like you said, their story is good. It was a fantastic game. Astreis, where do you land with Game of the Year?
Really struggling between Ragnarok and Elden Ring. I think I'm going to give it to Elden Ring because it was a kind of genre-defining experience. Kind of taking that Souls formula and making it into an open world that was because of the like standard like From Software setup is they don't give you anything. So now they're in a giant open world and they still don't give you anything. So you can absolutely wander into stuff that is way overpowered for you and you're going to get smashed. But like the map was set up in such a way where you could, like wander towards stuff that looks like buildings, where you're walking through a valley and there's a little alcove where there's inevitably a cave that leads to a dungeon. Like just the amount of sheer content in that game was unbelievable. But I mean, Ragnarok has it in other facets that Elden Ring, doesn't have like a cohesive narrative. So, and I get it. Like, FromSoft games, they like to embed their lore into item descriptions and environmental things so that you can, take the time to piece that all together for yourself. But that's not everybody's bag. But I don't know, they're 1A and 1B for me. But if I have to pick one, I think I'm Elden Ring.
There's a lot of Elden Ring in the chat too, and someone's mentioned the possibility of Elden Ring DLC. So there's a lot of support for Elden Ring, and I think that's very deserving.
I think they're tied too, right? Like both at 9% right now from the thing that Jeff sent out. Have you seen that? It was like Elden Ring,
I haven't
Ragnarok,
seen it,
and then Sonic Frontiers. I think was from like the audience one or whatever.
Okay,
I'm talking about Keeley.
Yeah, Keeley.
Keeley.
Keeley's.
I mean, the Elden Ring thing is obviously something. Elden Ring had probably the biggest impact on gaming this year. So even though a little spoiler for Saturday, it's not going to be my game of the year. And not because I didn't like it, but I also thought it had a lot of issues that people just want to ignore for some reason. but still, the game was good. Definitely, I wouldn't be mad or anything, because I think it deserves it for the impact it had on gaming. Like, everyone was playing it for months, and even a lot of casuals played it, and it made a genre available to the masses that was very niche. Like,
Yeah.
Souls game were popular but niche, kind of, because of the difficulty and everything. But Elden Ring somehow overcame that and made it an absolute phenomenon this year. And so, it would be well deserved. Dutch, we will have on Saturday. Sorry for advertising it again. The Game of the Year show, not just the Game of the Year show. We will do a proper recap of the entire year. So that's when we will give our thoughts on Game of the Year. So you have, of course, another few days to think about it. And hopefully finish one of the possible contenders for Game of the Year. So,
Definitely.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap the show up. 2.5 hours of absolute awesome talk with you guys. I know 2.5 hours can be really long for someone who is particularly not as familiar with podcasting. So I appreciate you guys staying that long. I hope you had fun on the world of gaming.
Always, man.
Oh yeah. Time flies.
That's why we all came back. You notice?
Yep.
Everybody.
I know.
100% attendance.
I feel very honored that you all wanted to come back. It was like, hey,
Absolutely.
you guys want to come back? They threw the signal out, and I said, hey, let's ask the event. And there was literally within an hour, everyone said absolutely, and I love that. I really appreciate it. So, guys, Rhetri, let's start with you. Where can people find you?
For me, I would say check out Game Pass Daily on my Twitter. And if you go to my Twitter, you'll find the links to my TikTok as well as YouTube. And I post stuff every day that has to do with Game Pass. So if you want to stay up on that, follow me.
Sweet. And again, all the links are in the description. But still, Dave, I hope you had fun too and enjoyed the show. I know you're a big supporter of the channel, so super appreciate that as well. But let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter, so my handle's right there on the screen, as is it in the description notes. You'll find me in the comment section of a lot of Boxes, Posts, and Dutch's your posts as well on Twitter, also in the YouTube video. And I do share some of my own opinions, just things I'm reading on like Google News that are like Xbox related. I'll pull a quote out that's like, hey, this, connect this dot with this dot, and it could mean this. And those are the types of takes I have. And really what I'm doing, I'm just reading articles and arriving at conclusions based on what I'm knowing. And I'll share that on Twitter, and I'll be in the notes section. And then on Xbox, my gamer tag is Kajmus, Kajmus, and I think Box, you and I have connected, and Rhetri, I think you as well.
Yep.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. And thanks for coming on. And Astreis, let people know where they can find you.
Astreis Gaming on Twitter, just Astreis on Xbox, and Astreis Gaming on PlayStation. Astreis Gaming also on YouTube, but I'm not doing too much YouTube right now. I've taken a back seat on just trying to figure out what I want to do with that. I definitely want to do something, but I'm having trouble figuring it out. So more on that.
It's really not easy sometimes to find your groove on YouTube. What works for you, what kind of content you want to make. I've been there for many years actually. I want to do something. But I wasn't sure what to do. So, man, if you want to talk about, hit me up in the DMs. Maybe we can figure something out.
Well, I guess I sure will. And I can tell a funny story here real quick.
Yeah.
So my wife and I went to Disney World here just, I don't know, I guess about a month ago now. And at Epcot in Florida, it's one of the Disney World theme parks. They have like an around the world, and one of those is Germany, but they have a food and wine festival, and on the menu was this long word that we didn't know how to say. And my wife was like, I just have no idea how to pronounce that. And I was like, luckily, I know a German guy. And so
Yeah.
I sent him a DM with a picture of it, and he was like, I don't know how to tell you over text how to say that. And so he sent me a video with his beautiful face saying Schnickendoodle.
Schinkennudeln. Schinkennudeln.
You were so
yeah,
close.
I remember. Yeah, man, that was awesome. No, thanks for coming on, Astreis. And Dutch, obviously, people hopefully know you already. But in case they don't, where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me absolutely everywhere at Wondering Dutch, of course. Obviously, our YouTube channel, which is the home of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast, every Wednesday, every second Sunday for the weekend edition, every Tuesday for Save Tuesday's Playcast. Of course, we're coming to the end of our shows for 2022 shortly, so we've got 2 more to go. We have episode 99, which is Sony's wrap-up, essentially, giving them a grilling because we give Xbox a good grilling yesterday.
No, yeah, we did.
And then, of course, episode 100, obviously celebrating 100 episodes of Midweek Mix-Up, looking at the
Congratulations.
Game Awards as well. Thank you. Looking at the Game Awards as well, of course, because if that would have happened by that point, so we'll be able to discuss the announcements from that. Talking about our most anticipated for 2023, which may have some new titles in. And we do have a special guest joining us as well so far. Might have another one as well, but King David is joining us.
Nice.
Love King.
Love his energy, man. He's so good.
Yeah. He hit me up last night after Boom Show, and he's like, we need to hook up again. It's been a while. So I was like, well, 14th is free. Feel free to jump on for 100. He's like, yep, you bet. So he's going to be there. So that's going to be awesome. Of course, and then we have the monumentous week-long charity drive as well for 2 charities. And of course, details you can find on my Twitter. So that's everything. It's a pleasure, as always, with yourself, Boxy, on the world of gaming, and awesome to speak to all of you chaps, Dave, Astreis, Rhetri, and Peter. Obviously, even though he's gone now. Pleasure podcasting with you all, and hope to see you all podcasting on different shows as well in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
No, thanks again for coming on. It's been a blast. Again, also a big shout out to everyone in the chat, the community, not just for the support and the super chats, but of course, just for being here, chatting with us about gaming, having great laughs, having good conversations. Truly appreciate this community. Big congratulations again to Casual K for winning the giveaway. And on Saturday, we will have 2 other giveaways. So definitely make sure to tune in on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Europe, or 7 p.m. UK time for a special episode with Lord Cognito, ACG, Ainsley Bowden, Wondering Dutch, and myself.
Straight fire.
Dang.
Straight fire.
That is a cast, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is a guest, man. I had to really take Cock by his word. So earlier this year, we had a chat. I said, like, dude, you have to come on the world of gaming, but he just started a new job, and it was all like difficult for him to guess. So he said, well, I'm taking a break guessing, and I said in February, March to him, like, dude, it's okay to take a break, but you cannot take a break for the year in review show. And he's a man of his word, and so he's gonna join us this Saturday, and I cannot wait. So yeah, guys, again, thanks for joining, everyone. Also thanks in the chat, thanks to the community, and yeah, I see you guys hopefully on Saturday, and don't forget to game on.